All right, hello everybody, and welcome to the Best in Guild NA East Championship Series for Throne of Liberty Talandre. I'm your host, Blue Squadron, joined by my also bald co-host, Morlin, once again.
What's up, everybody? Good to be back.
All right, that's all you got for me. I was expecting a little bit more.
I thought you were gonna introduce the first map. I thought we were jumping into it.
No, I have to introduce who you are again. What are we talking about? Oh, this guy,
I'm a bald streamer who plays games. Hi, everyone. No one's yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. Fine. That's fine. We have some crazy matches for you today. Some matches that I think people in North America East have been waiting for the last few months. A lot of guilds chat PvPing each other. A lot of guilds very competitive are fighting today, and I can't wait to get them started. Our very first match of the day is actually going to be Released versus INFAMY, released from the Stellaride server, rank 4 in their alliance with Hailstorm, Cobra Kai, and Can't Press Q. Rank 2 on their server. Best in Guild T1 finish was top 10. Their prediction for the tournament is top 12, so they're pretty close. And then they said Tiny Tim's tanks are recruiting, which I would assume is a static group in their guild, Morlin.
Yeah, must be. They are pretty close to top 12. I think they might be able to pull it off. They got to get through INFAMY, who is currently unaffiliated with any other guilds. They were previously allied with Supple over on the Ivory server, but then Supple went to Stellaride. So INFAMY is kind of on their own out there, maybe looking for some new allies. Who knows? They have won 5 sieges in the past, but predict that they are going to be in the top 10. So both guilds with a similar prediction. And then furthermore, chat PvP, thigh highs belong on guys. I had to say that last time I read their card, and I've had now to say it twice. So well done, and for me getting me to say that twice on stream.
Yeah, that is exactly why I don't like reading the INFAMY card, because there is no way that is true. That is disgusting, and they know it, and that's why they're getting you to say it. You specifically, because I'm not going to say that. Let's look ahead to pick ban on this one. It looks like INFAMY won the coin toss and chose to ban, not pick. Interestingly enough, Released is going to pick here. INFAMY choosing to ban Dwagon, Grand Alon, Manticus, and Kamazon. The choice on Released side is Talus.
All right, I guess they don't want to take any big risks here. Talus, again, one of those common sort of safety comfort maps. At least it's not as real, so we'll see how they do.
Yeah, absolutely. Very wide open space, but then the capture point on Talus is really, really small. So we're going to see we should see some interesting strategies. This should be a very close match. We are pretty progressed so far now in the tournament as both guilds. And as you progress in the tournament, the seeds get closer and closer to one another. The matches keep getting closer and closer to one another. It does look like that we are live finally into the first match of the day, with Released in the yellow and INFAMY in the red. INFAMY actually only spawning in with 3 or 4 people on this left side. It looks like they're going to get wiped off right away here. Yeah, the rest of them spawning and running across, actually buying time. Release is actually getting in position right now. There we go. Okay, now I guess I was assuming they were going to try to catch him in that choke point there, but not to no avail. Oh my God, they're backing up into the choke point willingly. Morlin, I'm not sure how I feel about that. Release put in the corner. There's a static that spawned in behind them, and now they have a perfect flank on this. Beautiful first engage for INFAMY right there, but it looks like Release might be coming out on top, but it's a very back and forth engagement, Morlin.
Yeah, and Blue, I don't remember which guilds did this, but we saw almost this exact same scenario last time, where a guild spawned just a single static in the enemy side, and it gave them all that time to group up and come from the other side, which is exactly what INFAMY has done here. And you have to wonder whether or not it's intentional, but it does seem to be working out. They were able to catch Released a little bit off guard there away from the stone, although now the fight does seem like it's really back and forth on the objective. That initial wipe in favor of INFAMY, but I don't know if they're really sustaining it after that.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. It does look like, despite the really good strategy coming in for INFAMY at the start, they are starting to come up short on some of these engagements now as the battle rages on. Although we are seeing them battle back at least a little bit. This match is definitely a little bit close. Let's take a look at the leaderboards in the first 2 minutes of the match. It looks like Released leading on that leaderboard, but INFAMY getting very close, at least in their damage dealt. INFAMY's wailing at the very top. Acer up here here as well. Interestingly enough, Waylon on a staff wand invocator as the top DPS of the lobby so far. I know we're only 2 minutes in, but that's very impressive, Marlon.
Yeah, Waylon had some pretty crazy stat lines in their last Infamy match as well. I'm going to be taking Giga's perspective, one of the released Cordy crossbows who just got another spin, but he got yanked out of it. I saw him get a triple kill on his previous spin, so it looks like he is going to be making some good value on those Cordy plays. We'll see in another 20 seconds or so if he's able to get something off here with his fancy purple weapons. Kind of stands out, actually. I think it makes him a little easier to target.
Yeah, it actually might make him a little bit easier to target. Let's take a look at the Cordies there for a moment. It is Virus and Giga on the side of Release, and on the other side, it's JDMXD and Tarnished Maiden for Infamy as the 2 Cordy spinners. So both sides with 2 Cordy spinners apiece. There's Tarnished Maiden in the middle of everything. There goes a Cordy spin right there, but Tarnished not coming up with anything on that one. On the side of Infamy, fortunately from him, Waylon is carrying them right now. I see him in the kill feed repeatedly right now as that dude is just pumping down some damage, Marlon.
Are we going to see some Waylon copycats after this tournament? I mean, like you said, Invocator is a build that is not necessarily seen as any kind of top fragger, but you do have to wonder in a game in Tier 2 where the meta has been somewhat rigid, once these balance patch comes in, it does create an opportunity for those sleeper builds to start to come online. I wonder if Waylon has stumbled upon something. Yeah,
maybe like maybe he's curse bombing. I don't know. He seems to be using a lot of the staff skills, but I do see some wand skills in there too. He might be a combination of maybe curse bomb and the staff skills. Not really seen that before. Normally you have to have like a full bar. The curse bomb is something you have to invest very heavily into. I'm not sure. We'll have to ask for his build after the match. Either way, we have 1 minute left on the clock as we look at the leaderboard so far in this matchup. You can see very back and forth. CBA, Waylon. So this is Release, Infamy, Release, Infamy, Infamy, and then Release rounding out the bottom of the leaderboards here. On defeats, it's definitely Released coming up on top. But again, there's their Cordy spinners are in here. JDMXD finally managing to get on the leaderboards here. Very importantly, let's take a look at the amount healed. Infamy with the better healers in the lobby, but Released right behind them here. Interestingly enough, and I think that that's going to come into play a little bit later in this match. Big kill feed on the side of Infamy right there as time ticks down to 20 seconds before we see the first cap able to be initiated here. The match is just about to begin, or at least the capture aspect of the match is just about to begin now. We'll see which frontline can actually initiate that first here, Moreland.
Yeah, I'll be taking Waylon's perspective actually on this first encounter here, because I am really curious. It has been pretty back and forth. If I had to pick one guild right now, I would say maybe Released is a little bit ahead overall, but now that cap is live and we're seeing a good kill feed come out from both teams here. So I think this could go either way. Man, from this first encounter, it's hard to say who's got the advantage.
Yeah, I think that Released might barely have the upper hand. Their front line certainly is stronger, mainly because they stepped forward, got that cap off right away. The Infamy tank seemed like they were tripping over each other, trying to, oh, you CC him. No, you CC him. No, you CC him. And then he ended up getting the cap off immediately for Release. Then Infamy went for their cap on the stone and sadly just unable to come up with it because they immediately got CC'd off by Release's frontline. So the frontline for Release definitely playing a lot better than Infamy's right now. But again, the healer's doing a great job of making sure that Infamy can stand on this point regardless of how many of the frontliners in their guild are playing with a foot pedal right now, Moreland.
You've got to wonder when the match is this close if getting the first cap on a stone like Talus is actually an advantage. We saw a crazy comeback from at the end of the last NA East bracket, and I feel like there is a little bit of risk here if you are the first guild to cap. It's nice to get that advantage and to get ahead and, you know, to be able to defend that, but you do kind of leave yourself exposed if it's a really close match and your opponent is barely able to eke out that capture within the last 2 or 3 minutes. You really will not have time to take it back. So as much as I like getting that first cap and like seeing that go off, at the same time, you have to wonder if that's a little bit risky later in the match, if that's going to backfire.
Yeah, absolutely. You look over at release right now, 53%, but they were up at 60 before. And now INFAMY struggling to get enough members onto the point here. So release clearly, and again, I think this was like this in their last match as well. They just understand that they have to stand on the point. And when they all have to be working together, you see Cinnamon Roll planting their feet on the point as well as that healer right there. I know it puts you at risk, but they are absolutely willing to sacrifice their own personal gain, their own personal score for their guild to succeed overall, and that is what large-scale PvP is all about. You can see release 22 people strong right now on the point as their DPS are not afraid to step up onto the point, but INFAMY's are 91% in climbing. It looks like INFAMY's point is going to be shut down as they climb over 96%. It's released on top of this one, Moreland.
Yeah, we're starting to see that kill feed go more and more now in release direction. I've been watching the respawns over on the INFAMY side, trying to figure out why can't they get enough feet on this point. And there's no kill squad over here or anything. It's pretty wide open. So they are able to reinforce, and they should be able to match released in terms of numbers and strength on the stone. It's not that far of a run back from the respawn portal to the Talus point. But INFAMY just cannot get enough of their members alive long enough on that point to really make it count. Released has a much stronger pressure here, a much stronger presence as well, despite not really having any respawn disruption going against INFAMY whatsoever.
Yeah, Vyra over here on the side of release. One of the Cordy's waiting to get this spin off. He's been waiting for about 30 seconds now. Oh, gets pulled in. And again, he's biding his time. This is what we see out of the best Cordy spinners in the tournament, is they are nothing if not patient. There goes the spin right there. Only getting one kill. I think that he should have been just a little more patient. If he had been spinning right now, he would have gotten way more kills right there. And I think it's nothing but regret. That's the problem with Cordy, is that there's going to be a lot of opportunities, but you need to wait for the best opportunity in order to make something happen for your guild here. INFAMY trying to flood onto the point one more time, but again, they can't even initiate a cap right now. I'll be honest. I think that release needs to spread out a little bit. I think they're a little too clumped up on the point itself proper. They do not need to stand on it. That's INFAMY right now. They should abuse that. Their front line can stand here and keep interrupting exactly like that. You see Kato Kappa desperately trying to interact with the point, but he keeps getting pushed off by the front line of release. As I said, they're playing really, really well in this tournament so far, and especially in this match here. They just keep interrupting that front line, and then release can afford to spread out. INFAMY are the ones that now have to double down onto the point to make something happen. They're not the ones that can basically afford themselves the opportunity of going around and flanking on the outside of the fight, Moreland. I think release is just playing this better.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think release might be a little too good at standing on the points. There is no INFAMY cap for them to counter right now. So like you said, they can spread out a little bit. But at the same time, if that, cap does start to tick, it's not the end of the world to be in position, ready to counter it and shut it down right away. And release definitely looks like they are focused on the objective here. They know what needs to be done. And the match is starting to snowball in their direction just a little bit. They got a lot of momentum shutting down that first push, perhaps a bit demoralizing for INFAMY. We need to see a bit more of a full regroup, I think, from INFAMY for them to be able to get some momentum here. Not to mention, INFAMY just can't get a cap off. I'm seeing their tanks go for the stone over and over again. They might get this one here. Finally, Yugo able to get that cap started. Both guilds, I'm sure, going to be reacting to this. We're seeing a lot of INFAMY players stepping on the stone in reaction to that, but I'm sure Release is going to be matching them on the stone as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been watching Biba here with the Greatsword Dagger, and I love watching Greatsword Dagger players because these are typically people that understand positioning on their class very, very well. You do not want too many of this class in your composition, but certainly a couple are very, very good so long as they are performing well. And he is locking down those priority targets. We saw him get 2 or 3 kills while I was spectating him right there, so certainly doing a great job. But INFAMY now does have a cap initiated, and they're starting to climb in that percentage. They're at 15%. All Release needs to do is stall for the next 9 minutes, and they are just under 9 minutes now, and they will be the victors of this match. I'll be honest with you, based on how things have been going so far, I think that Release has it in them to do exactly that. We saw Talus go back and forth earlier in this tournament as well. The reverse cap goes super hard into the final minutes here, but Release is going to have to keep their foot on the gas pedal the entire match long. They cannot afford to go dilly-dallying playing for kills.
Yeah, hopefully guilds watched the previous NA East final tournament with and saw that you do have to, like you said, keep your foot on the gas the entire time. You can't get lazy on this map. Even if you're winning the stone for 80% of the fight, you can still throw this in the last 2 minutes. So I like what Released is doing here, but they can't get lazy. They're going to need to absolutely keep this up. They are not ahead by that much. These guilds are pretty similar in strength. INFAMY can flip this at any time if Release starts to get lazy, if they start to spread out a little too much, if they start to hunt for kills or overextend a little too much. Anything like that can definitely leave them exposed in the final minutes of the match. So as long as they keep their focus, I think that they've got this, but they can't get lazy in the last few minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look at the leaderboards very quickly here as we see Release continually on top here. Defeats, it's definitely Release favor as Gigahar, CBA, and J Money basically take off their JDMXD. The Cordy crossbow on the side of INFAMY. INFAMY does have 2 Cordy crossbows. That's one of them there, as we talked about before. And Leo trying to make up for it. Damage dealt again. Very back and forth. Waylon still number 2 on the leaderboards, right behind his opponent CBA, right there trying to carry INFAMY in this fight. And INFAMY's healers also doing an incredible job. Cozy's reeks in, and they certainly have the manpower. They certainly have the players able to make this happen, but they lost their cap over here. Released is just playing together better as a unit. INFAMY seems to be padding their stats on the scoreboard. They seem to be playing well individually as players, but they just don't have, not no synergy, but just much less synergy as a unit, much less sense of I'm doing this for the team, not for myself. On the side of INFAMY, you're seeing them come up, they're getting kills, they're putting down damage, they're getting a lot of heals off, but it's just not translating into objective-based control. And Moreland, I'm sure you know in large-scale PvP, you can be the top kills in the lobby and still contribute almost nothing to your guild.
Yeah, absolutely. Depending on, which targets you're actually going after or which people you're padding your stats on, this is an objective focused map, and the Talus objective is just so close to both respawns for this guild. You've got to be able to actually put your feet on the cap. I mean, look at that, they just got another cap shut down. INFAMY really struggling to even get the cap going, but then once they do get it going, 30 seconds later it's already expired. Released has already taken it back, and now they're going to have to again struggle to get their tanks over here and get something going. So they're going to have to figure out some way to get this cap more consistently. I just saw Hugo again get the cap to about 80% or so before he exploded. His health was kind of low for a little while there, Blue. I'm not sure where his healers are. Like you said, it does seem like some of these INFAMY players are maybe playing a little bit by themselves. Even the Cordy, I was watching Tarnished Maiden a second ago, and just didn't really feel like he was playing with his group. I don't know if maybe his group is too busy respawning or something, but I wasn't seeing anyone hooking on top of him. I didn't really see a lot of buffs or heals go out. It was pretty easy for Release to just find him and focus him down once he jumped into a clump of their players. Saw one of his spins, didn't even get a single kill.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying, is that I'm seeing Release really stack up hard on the point several times. Keep in mind, they do not need to do that. They are winning this match. They own that point. They're stacking so hard. Where are the Cordy spins on the side of INFAMY? Like, what are you doing over here? They're just not able to capitalize on these opportunities. And the healers on the side of Release, we were just watching Sparklebox doing a great job, and they are still alive over here in this corner. Doing a, oh my goodness, staying alive despite it, straight through a Cordy spin right there as Sparklebox backs up again. But you can see just how safe the healers on Release can play and still get the job done. You have got to be feeling for the INFAMY frontline right now. These guys are selfless. They're diving through. They're trying time after time again. Freak gets step, or Big Tanky steps forward, gets flipped off the point again. He just doesn't have the reinforcements. His DPS are not there to back him up. His healer is not there to back him up. Every time a tank steps forward, they get CC'd off the point or get killed, mainly because, again, everyone in Released is calling out these priority targets. They're getting that CC off. They're getting that, they're killing them from 100 to 0. There goes Hugo right there. Boom, dead. Just like I said, where is his heal? Where is this healer at? What are we doing on the side of INFAMY? The healers, the DPS, are not working with the tanks in conjunction with one another to get a cap off on the point, despite individually performing at a phenomenal level. They just are, there's no cohesion. There's no sense of teamwork here on this side of Infamy. They're just not playing together. Versus on the other side, you see Released playing together very well. Their healers always in position, backing up their front line. Their front line clearly calling out when they're stepping forward to make a play. Their DPS are not afraid to step up and stand on the point, even if it means they're going to take some damage because they trust that their healers are right there with them, Moreland.
Yeah, you've got to be able to trust your healer, especially if you're going to be one of those tanks like Hugo who's just running it down on the stone over and over again. There should be a couple dedicated Seekers in his group that are keeping him alive. I mean, he's clearly one of the dedicated Infamy cappers. Looked like he finally was able to get one there. We'll see if Released is able to just quickly stomp this out like they have with previous caps. There is not that much time for them to cap. This is probably the last opportunity they have. If Released is able to empty this bar out, even if they start another cap, they're not going to be able to finish it. So this is it right here. This is Infamy's last chance. We need them to do some kind of surge here, get it together, get over here, and make one final play. Otherwise, Released has really just dominated this entire match, and we're going to see that continue in these final 2 minutes if something doesn't change.
Yeah, we saw Bebo say WTF as he got killed right in the middle of the fray right there. Well, Bebo, I have to say that's a user error, homie. If you're a great sword dagger standing in the middle of 30 players and you get one shot, that's on you, Chief. That is not on anyone but yourself, and poor positioning right there, man. You just got to back up a little bit next time. And again, that's what we're seeing for Infamy right here, is they just consistently, there's no healer there. I mean, despite their healers are at the top of the leaderboard, but they're not, none of it is consequential healing. Look at them just get wiped off this point right now, Moreland. Their HP bars get low. Hugo getting low. Where is his healer? Going to go down right there every single time. There's Big Tanky in the middle of everyone right there as well. Where's his healer? He's gonna go down without, he caught one heal right there. He finally catches his heal. Where are the healers on the side of Infamy? Where are the DPS at on the side of Infamy? They're very good at playing individually with each other and maybe overstacking their healing numbers. But I'll be honest with you, when push comes to shove and people need healing on the point, they're just not finding it, Moreland.
Yeah, the healing leaderboard's telling a much different story than what we're actually seeing here. I keep following some of these key players from Infamy, trying to get their perspective, and they'll go to half health and then they'll go to 0 health. I'm not seeing that bounce back up to 100%. You got to be reactive. I mean, especially on a player like Tarnished Maiden, one of the Infamy Cordies. I don't know where his support players are. I'm seeing his health slowly trickle down. Yep. There it is again. I just saw him die right on the stone. I just don't know where his Seekers are, Blue.
Yep, exactly. I did the same thing. I locked on to Whalen there for a second, the top DPS in his guild. You'd think that you would prioritize healing someone that is that important, but again, the Seekers on the side of Infamy are just not there. They've got the healing numbers, but again, that just goes to show you numbers mean nothing if you're not healing at the moments when your guild actually needs it. You can overheal all you want, you can, all day if you want to, but it's just not going to amount to anything. That's why I said leaderboards don't matter unless you can come up with this win. I have got to say, Release definitely looks stronger in this match, and the stronger guild will be moving on to the next round of this one. Sadly, we will not see Infamy anymore on this tournament, as that is the losers bracket match. Good fight to them. They certainly have some phenomenal players in their guild. Giga 68 kills. J Money 63 kills. Again, this is the corny crossbow Giga right there. And then Spear Dagger, Gladiator right here from Jihu in at number 4. Very impressive to outcompete Dagger players. Here we go, a Spellblade in, Mojo Whip in at number 5 right there. If you take a look at the top for Infamy, it's Leo, JDM, XD, Acer, and then Tarnished Maiden coming in at the top of the boards for Infamy there. Damage dealt over here, CBA, Buy, and J Money. Spear Dagger, Spellblade, so Staff Dagger, and then Spear Dagger again. And then 2 Cordy Crossbows, JDMXD and Giga in at number 4 and number 5 right there. You expect the Cordys to be a little bit higher than that, I'll be honest, given how clumped everyone was in that match. But who knows, man? It was a tough one. Damage taken, looks like top damage taken of the lobby. 2.49 million for Soft right there on the healing spec. Interestingly enough, a great sword wand user, Pikuni, in at number 2 on the tanking leaderboards. You do not see that every day, Moreland. Elrich 37 on the Crusader right there in at number 3, and Seraphim in at number 4 right there. Mount healed. Again, INFAMY, Cozies, and Reekson. Somehow the top healers of the lobby, despite being unable to heal their static at very critical moments. You hate to see that. Leaf High, Hano, and Sparklebox. If Sparklebox has a million fans, I'm one of them. Coming in, rounding out the top 8 or so. As Soft is in here as well for INFAMY. A close match, Moreland, if you look at the leaderboards, but I'll be honest with you, released with a dominating performance in terms of strategy.
Yeah, a dominating performance in terms of strategy, positioning, just coordination, the way they played the objective, the way they played together. Released looking really strong there. Even just compared to earlier in the tournament, I would say it definitely looks like Released has been reviewing VODs and going over maybe some of the shortcomings they had in previous matches. Because INFAMY is not a weak guild, and Released really just had complete domination from start to finish there. They maybe got caught off a little bit at the beginning, but pretty much that entire fight, Released was on top, shutting down those INFAMY caps, and even when a cap slipped through, they just snuffed it out really faster than we've seen in most of these matches.
Yeah, absolutely. It does look like people are saying that Giga was AFK for the first 5 minutes and still did that much damage. So, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense then. But it's good fights to both guilds. I just think that INFAMY, I think if they had just had a little bit more guild cohesion, that was a winnable match for INFAMY, certainly, right there. Again, it's not like a one-sided blowout like we've seen several times in this tournament so far. That was definitely close enough that they could have made a difference if they had been working together as a unit. Released showing that team synergy is super important. Now, guys, for the next match of the day, it's going to be just a slight delay, mainly because guilds want to do their arc boss. That's okay. We'll be breaking down the matches in the meantime. Next up for the day, we're going to have Corrupt versus Take Care, and this is a match between some of the top end guilds in North America here. Corrupt, rank 2 guild in Black Desert Online, now playing Throne and Liberty from the Ivory server, rank 4 in their alliance with Tyr, Exodus, and Hallowing over here. Rank 1 on their server overall, 5 siege wins, and they said if you lose to us, your guild might die. And I'll be honest with you, Take Care had a tough match after losing to Hallowing the last time we saw them in this tournament.
Yeah, Take Care versus Hallowing, perhaps the most high-profile match that we have seen in NA East so far, and Take Care was not able to take that home, so they are definitely going to be coming out swinging. I guarantee that they did not take that loss well. I'm sure that they are very meticulously going over whatever they need to do to improve. They are currently over on the Snowburn server, allied with Flex, Velocity, and Dwagon, 3 very powerful guilds, and they put themselves at rank 1 in that alliance. The results of this tournament might be saying something a little bit different about that, Blue, but maybe Take Care has something to prove here and they will start to make that comeback. We'll have to see. Their alliance strength on the server definitely going to be first over there on Snowburn. This is the guild that got second place in Big Talandre T1, but so far they have not been able to maintain at the top of the bracket. They want to hit top 3 overall in this tournament. Having one loss this early against Hallowing, they've got quite a mountain to climb to get back up into that potential top 3.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think that Take Care has a mountain to climb, but if anyone was going to make a run through the losers bracket, it would be Take Care. In my opinion, there were some Take Care members that were like, Blue hates us. He was railing us so hard in the last match. I assure you, I treat everybody fairly. Okay, so I love the Take Care boys. All right, there's nothing wrong with Take Care, but honestly, again, it is a little embarrassing to poach 15 members from a guild and then immediately lose to them in the next round of the tournament. That's a little rough. I will say that I talked to Soggy a little bit about this match, Soggy being the GM of Corrupt and leading his boys over there. And Corrupt said that, and I quote, "We are going to get Baja blasted in that booty." Close quote on that one. So I think that, but in fairness, every time I ask Soggy how he's going to do in a match, he says basically a different variation of that. Guilds always want to basically underplay their hands. Marlon, I'm sure that you've heard of this before.
Yeah, of course. You want to be the underdog. You don't want to come out saying, "Oh, we're the best. We're going to beat everyone." Because then, if things don't quite go your way, you're kind of a meme at that point. You're going to be the fodder in the content cord, and nobody really wants to be the fodder in the content cord.
Oh god, no, absolutely not. Either way, this match is going to be a banger. It does look like that the lobbies are just about ready to go here, so we're going to move over to our versus screen for our next match of the day, which is going to be Corrupt versus Take Care. Marlon, you want to cover pick ban real quick?
Definitely, let me bring it up here. So it looks like Take Care won, which means, and they chose to pick, which means Corrupt bans. Corrupt banned Kawazan, Talus, Cherno, and Dwagon. Looks like we're not going to be seeing that Dwagon fight tonight. And then it looks like the pick is going to be mmorpg. So Take Care bringing the fight over to mmorpg. This is definitely a match or a map that they have been practicing since all the way back in the T1 days. They will know this map in and out. I'm sure they've done a million reps here.
Yeah, are you sure you don't want to fight Corrupt on Kawazan? We saw that work. we saw that work out super well for Villain in the previous round here. I think that mmorpg is certainly a great map choice. It's my favorite Riftstone to watch. There's a lot of dynamic things that can happen here, and I think that if I'm being honest, I think that Take Care is favored in this matchup. I'm going to go with Corrupt here. I believe in the Corrupt boys. I know a lot of these guys used to play with me for a long time, both at the start of Throne and Liberty and then for years in Black Desert as well. I recognize a lot of these players on this side over here, as we're missing one player in the lobby. Let's take a look at the compositions. Wow, 9 daggers on the side of Corrupt versus 13 on the side of Take Care. 18 SNS. On Corrupt, 15 for Take Care. 19 great swords to 17. Looks like 5 staves to 5 staves. 20 bows for Corrupt to 17 for Take Care. So clearly not prioritizing the bows in this case. 5 crossbows on the side of Take Care, with only 2, both of their Cordy spinners on Corrupt. No other crossbows over there. 17 wands against 16. Corrupt slightly edging out there. And then again, spears are dead on equal, Moreland. I'll be honest with you, compositionally, I think I favor Take Care here, compositionally speaking. I think that I think that having more like crossbow dagger players, which is I think the difference here, crossbow dagger is slept on right now.
Crossbow Dagger is very slept on, and mmorpg is one of the best maps for Crossbow Dagger. You have those respawn points that are kind of like out in the woods, and there's a lot of opportunity for those scorpions to just pop out and kill you when you're respawning, trying to get back to the stone. Very, very difficult to shut them down unless you're going to devote a whole static to going around and chasing those crossbows away. And even when you do that, it's difficult to shut down a good crossbow player, and Take Care definitely has some very heavy-hitting crossbow players. We'll try to grab their perspective a few times throughout the fight so you can see what I'm talking about. But mmorpg just kind of has that, those hills and the road that cuts between the mountains. It's not as open. It's not as easy to kind of pick out those assassins and shut them down. You're really going to have to look for them. There's a lot of ways they can dodge roll or just stealth and kind of disappear into the trees and come back and be annoying again. So having a few extra scorpions, I think, is going to be very disruptive and annoying as Corrupt tries to respawn and regroup during these encounters.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's going to be I think this match is going to be close. I think Corrupt has undersold themselves a little bit on this side over here. I don't see a couple of their players. Oh, there is Fabi. Fabi is in here. Soggy's in here. Dragoon is in here. No, they've got their heavy hitters. Wait, he said, okay. Wait, are you really? They said, give me 2 minutes, and then they said, ready. We're making sure that all of the weapons are legal weapons to use for the tournament, guys. Everyone has to be showing their weapons during the tournament, so we're getting lobby final checks to go here as we prepare for Take Care versus Corrupt, our second banger. Every single match today is going to be a banger in this tournament today. It looks like we are just about ready to go. What's your prediction here? Do you think Corrupt or Take Care?
Oh man, I have so much love for both these guilds. Honestly, it's hard to say, but I do think overall, especially after recovering from their recent loss against Halloween, Take Care has got to be coming out. Just got to be coming out to this super motivated to win. I'm leaning in their direction.
All right, well, we are finally in match as both guilds start to spawn into this one. I'm trying to rush over to the stone as quickly as possible to try to catch the start of the action over here. Corrupt in the yellow, and it looks like Take Care in the red right now. Corrupt managing to get through and create a bit of a concave here, blasting in to Take Care. Good positioning for Corrupt as their front line stands over there. What is that kill feed? What is going on right now? Corrupt said they were going to get Baja blasted here, Moreland.
Well, it's going a little bit back and forth, but yeah, that initial wipe, and they're still doing it. Corrupt is doing just fine here in this initial fight. I don't know if Take Care maybe got caught off guard a little bit. We'll see if they are able to establish and recover. I'm seeing a lot of their most dangerous DPS, Viglin, Aishi, and others start to show up in that kill feed now. Maybe just needed to take a second to get their feet on the ground. We're now seeing the kill feed kind of swap over in Take Care's direction, which is definitely what we anticipated. And Corrupt actually starting to get kind of wiped here off the stone. This is where that regroup is going to become more and more important. We have both guilds kind of respawning on top of each other over here at Portal 1. This is usually the quickest way to get back into the fight, so whoever is going to maintain control of Portal 1 is going to have an advantage here. That's where those crossbows and greatswords and things like that can definitely have a huge impact, but so far it looks like despite that early engage, Take Care is starting to get their footing now.
Yeah, Take Care now starting to dominate in the match, but Corrupt certainly getting some solid kills in the feed here. Koki trying to stay healthy in the middle of everyone. Gonna go down to what looks like a flash wave right there. Fabi, one of their best casters, their best liberators on the outside of the fight. You saw him pick up 2 kills while I was watching him right there. He's just trying to stay in a good position. They're locking him down right now, though, and he's gonna go down as the top DPS members for Corrupt are getting hunted and destroyed. Take Care starts to get their footing. I'll be honest with you, though, the strategy early on definitely in favor of Corrupt. Take Care once again showing that they're not showing up to these matches quite as prepared as they did in the T1 tournament. You take a look, 2.5 minutes left on the clock. Take Care dominating this leaderboard for defeats right now. Bad Ripper, Clem, and Akara coming in as the top Corrupt members. Damage dealt. Clem actually top damage dealt to the lobby on a Liberator. Interestingly enough, Fabi, like I said, second to top for Corrupt right there in an ocean of Take Care members. Broomstick doing a great job. 2.4 million healed for Take Care right there on Weeks, and then HTC Fuzzy doing what he can. Certainly TC on top right now, Moreland, but that doesn't mean that the shot calling on the side of Corrupt can't come up with a win here.
Yeah, Corrupt is going to focus up and do something to adapt here. The cap hasn't become live yet, so it's not the end of the world to lose this initial engage. Soggy definitely going to be coming up with a plan, maybe respawning at a different portal or doing some kind of regroup. But in the meantime, I'm going to be taking Broomstick's POI. Okay, never mind. I was just about to glaze Broomstick and talk about how good his static is at keeping him alive, and then right as I say it, Caster Curse, he goes down. But there are definitely some super heavy-hitting spear statics on the side of Take Care. Like I said, some of the most famous and effective spear players on all of NA East. Viglin, well-known, Broomstick, well-known, and Ashibi as well. I wouldn't be surprised if those end up being the top 3 damage in this lobby. Especially, you know, Broomstick, his static in particular has been playing together, I think, basically since the launch of the game. They have hopped from guild to guild, but as a static group, they've stayed together. These are guys that are going to have a lot of synergy and know how to back each other up.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm locked on to Weeks right now as the top healer of the lobby. Currently, as he backs up right now, he's trying to stay in a good position, but he has to stay at least close enough to his guild members that they can make something happen. Here's Ryu right here, one of the Cordy spinners on the side of Take Care. The Corrupt members are all grouping up right there. I don't know if that's what you want to do. Ryu biding his time, though, waiting on those buffs. Just wasn't quite ready to go on this one. Corrupt waiting. Oh gosh, getting clumped up right here. This is looking like it's gonna be a really big Cordy spin. There's the pull in right there. There's the spin in, but honestly only getting 1 kill right there before ended up dying. So again, Corrupt doing a great job of making sure that they're not getting too much value out of those Cordy spinners. Creeper on the backside of the fight over here on that healer, just trying to keep the Corrupt members alive. But you understand that when you spawn in war games like this, you're gonna come back with half health. Your healers got to do a lot of work just to get your your healing stacks on you. As we get closer to the start here, it looks like the rift has opened up. It looks like Fuji Cakes on the side of Take Care gonna go ahead and try and interact with the stone. No one is gonna interrupt him for Take Care right there. We'll see if Corrupt, who has managed to push this fight a little bit closer to the stone, can get their leadership in range. Red Camper currently at 50-60%. No one on Take Care is gonna stop him. He's gonna get it. Take Care does manage to get the cap off as well and are on the board for the first time in this match, Moreland.
It's going to be very difficult for Corrupt to actually get any feet planted on that stone. They're continuing to spawn at Portal 1, which, like I said, is the fastest way back, but it's kind of too fast. In a scenario like this, if you're just continuously coming back with half health, then you're just going to be continuously sent back to that respawn platform again. And so probably we're going to need Corrupt to do some kind of respawn at Portal 2 or 3. I swung over there and didn't see a single player, which means both guilds are full respawning on one, basically on top of each other, and just sprinting back into the fight. Currently, that is working much more in Take Care's favor. If you're fighting from behind like this, if you're trying to catch up, at some point you gotta give up the fight on the respawn so that you can do a proper regroup.
So I don't mean to alarm anybody, but Zorxor is not listed as one of the Cordy spinners for Take Care here. I'm going to confirm that maybe they gave us the wrong name, but Zorxor is running Cordy's crossbows. Cordy crossbows here. You're only allowed to have 2 of those in the tournament overall here. So Take Care might have a bit of a blunder that is going to cost them quite dearly. If I get to see the other 2, now I've got to check for the other 2 Cordy spinners. Are they actually Spinkar and Ryu? Ryu, I know, is in the lobby. Is Spinkar here? I have not seen Spinkar yet. It's possible they gave me the wrong name for this one. But yeah, Corrupt actually managing to bring the fight to the cap. They did not lose the cap. Take Care is going to take it right now. Take Care is going to take it home, and now Corrupt is going to go for yet another cap here. The fact that they didn't get their cap closed out tells me they can plant enough people on the point to be competitive here.
I did find Springcar. He is playing Scorpion with the Ackman crossbow. He's not running the Cordy, so it looks like TC is still compliant. Guys, make sure you update your rosters when you're letting us know. You don't want to lose on a technicality. Let us know who those Cordys are.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure you check your roster and tell us who is running the Cordys here. That was really close to being a DQ. I'll be honest with you. Saved. MDM over here on this healer doing their best. And honestly, Corrupt doing a solid job of getting into the kill feed. They have 8 people on the point right now to the 14 from Take Care. They are managing to get people onto the point, but sadly, they're just getting obliterated as they get pulled to that low ground. It's not like T1 where you can sit on a high ground like a pigeon and make something happen. That pull ability, which in my opinion is the singular best ability in the game right now. Moreland, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but to me, it looks like the most powerful ability in the game. It just pulls people off that high ground like you just saw happen to Fabi right there, and immediately you just put them in harm's way.
No, it absolutely creates more value than any other single skill other than maybe a Cordy spin. But the fact you could just press one button and toss 4 people off a cliff, or even just get them out of position so that the guild can follow up. I mean, any ability that can cause you to cause that many deaths as a tank player, or even just that many people out of position as a tank player on such a short cooldown, I think you're right. It's definitely a devastating ability. And it's crazy. I'm continuing to watch Portal 1 over here, and I don't know if both guilds are just kind of being good sports here, but I'm not actually seeing anywhere near the level of spawn camping that I would expect. Usually when 2 guilds are just free spawning on top of each other, they start to farm each other. You start to see those Ravagers, you start to see Scorpions just eating people that are half health. But instead, both guilds kind of just freely running from this respawn back into the fight. Interesting to see. I don't know if they are just trying to be nice or if they just genuinely feel like there's no value there. I would think that a Ravager or a Scorpion would get crazy value camping this spawn point right now. Neither guilds are using the other respawns. It's all just respawn 1.
Yeah, Hapu out here trying to hunt down HGC Fuzzy, but he's going to keep himself healthy right now as Take Care tries to collapse into the woods. This is not as one-sided as I think people thought, or Corrupt said it was going to be. They're cap on the stone does fail in this case, but they are managing to pick up kills. They're able to skirmish relatively well. They are losing out in the skirmishes. Take Care certainly look like a stronger guild overall, player to player, pound for pound. But I think that Corrupt is definitely trying out different strategies, at least initiating caps on the point, as Red Camper has gotten 2 or 3 caps on the point. Anything POS, one of the Corrupt spinners over here doing what he can, but you see him getting flipped over right there, and he's gonna run out of health. Noah's healer does manage to save him, and that's what I'm saying, is that Corrupt has been doing a really solid job at least playing with one another. We'll see if he can get a Cordy spin off. He's waiting for those buffs. Can he get it down? No, he gets Cordy spun on himself right there. So tragic to see that.
Yeah, Corrupt changing it up a little bit now. They are over on Respawn 2, so they've given up that Portal 1, and it makes sense because of the positioning they have here, where they're kind of approaching the stone from the flank, from that road path over towards Respawn 2. It totally makes sense for them to rotate. They have a good amount of presence in the direction of Portal 2. I'm seeing a lot of yellow names kind of over by that tent area. Everything in this map looks the same, so it's hard to describe. But they're getting a decent presence established here. Just very hard for them to actually secure those kills on Take Care. Meanwhile, we're seeing the Take Care Cordy spinners and the Take Care spear players just consistently eating throughout this match. I mean, you constantly see the same 5 or 6 names from Take Care on that kill feed, and this is why having those heavy hitters can just make such a big deal. You have to give it to Corrupt, though. They came to this match knowing that they were not favored to win, knowing it was going to be a huge uphill battle, so good on them for finding a different approach and continuing to come back full-fledged and try to make something happen against Take Care here.
Yeah, absolutely. Orzeka doing what he can on this Greatsword Dagger, which is a tough class to be playing in a from behind. If your guild is in a, oh my goodness, in a tough spot here. His healer doing a great job trying to keep him alive. Does manage to dash out of the action. Gets pulled right back in though. Oh my goodness, catches another heal from Medics, who is going to die in his arms next to him. He's going to go down. Orzeka walks away with it, but Medics will die. The classic healer dying for their DPS it right there. And then Orzeka dashes back and forth and immediately dies. Well, thank goodness you healed him so that he could die 6 seconds later, dashing into the middle of a Cordy spin. Absolutely tragic to see that happen right there. You see Corrupt starting to spawn from spawn point one more time here, as they only have one person standing on the point. Red Camper is going to try it one more time. Take Care 2 occupied to really stop any of this from happening, or to stop the cappers from taking it. Corrupt is going to get another cap down once again, basically consistently always having a cap initiated, keeping Take Care on their heels. And you got to give them credit, man. They came with a strategy, they executed it. That's why we saw a big kill feed for them at the start of the match. But obviously, sadly, we're seeing Take Care just overwhelm them with sheer force here.
Yeah, it's just sheer kill feed. It's hard to have any kind of macro, any kind of overall strategy when the overall kills are just this one-sided. But Corrupt, nonetheless, is doing a good job of getting over to that stone and keeping those caps going consistently. They have had a cap going for the majority of the match. They just don't have the bodies to put in that section and get that bar progressing. They've got to figure out a way to just stay alive longer. They've got to look at those Take Care players that are shutting them down. You know, the 2 Cordys and the 3 spears that are just over and over again showing up on that kill feed. You got to find those guys and do something to keep them from eating here. There are so many different angles that you can attack from on mmorpg, so you can definitely surprise people. You can definitely catch people off guard. You can approach from behind these trees and behind these tents and stuff. You can find those players and shut them down, but it's going to be hard to do when the kill feed is this one-sided.
Yeah, I mean, Harana doing, and this is the Greatsword Dagger perspective from the other team, and you can see Harana, there's Orzeka fighting him right there. Harana is actually going to survive that engagement to live another day, and Orzeka gets picked off in the background right there. Look at him lock down Bad River. Can he get the guillotine down? He does, but he gets stunned by Koki. Saves him right there. Turns it back around, but Harana catches a heal. He's going to go down. Look at that coordination on behalf of Corrupt right there to make sure. Man, that was a back and forth skirmish that we saw, and that was just a literal microcosm of what is going on an individual level right there. Harana gets really low, gets locked down by Orzeka, catches a heal, goes back in, catches Bad Ripper, locks him down, tries to catch him with a guillotine. Bad Ripper catches a heal, then gets a stun, then Arana gets stunned, then he gets knocked out, and Corrupt bringing it back right now, trying to work together. Again, these guys have been playing together for years, Morlin. What an impressive little display we just saw.
Yeah, absolutely. The individual player power level on Take Care is just so high, though. I'm seeing so many names in this guild that I recognize. They kind of have an all-star lineup, even though a lot of these players maybe don't have as much time playing together and don't know each other as well. The individual player skill or individual static skill that you see here is just very, very difficult to deal with. I'm watching Aishibi right now. I'm taking his perspective, following him around, and just the positioning. I mean, this guy's been playing Spear Dagger for a minute, and a very technical player, knows exactly how far out he can go, what kind of risks he can take. Consistently going to be one of their top damaging players. Even when they try to focus him, he's able to disengage and get healthy again. Hard to kill despite playing one of the squishier classes in the game right now. And of course, as I say that, just like with Broomstick, he dies for the first time as soon as I'm trying to glaze him up. You guys got to stop dying every time I glaze you.
Yep, that's just how it is. The caster curse, Moreland. Welcome. I'm locked on to RuneScape right now. One of the better spell blades on the side of Take Care here, just pumping out damage there. You got another kill, another 2 kills right there. As Spinkar gets another kill as well. It does look like the Take Care is mopping up this lobby. It's just showing overwhelming dominance over the top of Corrupt. Corrupt, strong strategy, strong teamwork, but it's just not enough to be on top of NA East. You have to have everything and Take Care. Look at this: Sample, Glenn, Zorzor, Broomstick, Zybe, Ryu, Phaeton, Markelov, Ego, Spray Machine. Man, they're just dominating the defeats right now. Bad Ripper, Akara, and Clem, and Soapy Stud, the top of the defeats for Corrupt there. You take a look at the damage done. Again, it's Clem and Fabi as liberators in the top 6 right now, and they're doing a great job at 3.8 million for Sample and Glenn, and Broomstick doing a great job. Like you said before, they were going to be at the top of the lobby. Weeks, Wuru, Mayhem, Nocturnal, the top healers of the lobby so far, and then Davidan kind of coming in as the first healers for Corrupt over here. And Corrupt honestly managing to rally onto the point, but sadly they don't have one initiated right now, Morlin.
Yeah, the fact that Liberators are the top 2 damage on Corrupt, I'm trying to figure out if they know something that everyone else doesn't, or if they don't know something that everyone else does, because it seems kind of odd for Liberators to be the top 2. Corrupt might be maybe lagging a little bit behind still in the T1 meta. We got to get some Shadow Dancers or some Spellblades or something up above those Liberators if we're going to try to knock out a guild like Take Care.
Yeah, I know something about Corrupt that everybody doesn't. Soggy shared it with me earlier tonight. This is privileged information, so nobody say it. But he said that Corrupt is complete dog water, and they suck at everything. And so that's probably why they have 2 Liberators at the top of their... Oh my goodness, there goes Fabi as they try to lock onto him right there. He goes down right there. Take Care, doing what they can to make sure that Corrupt is relentlessly diving on to this point right now with 2 minutes left to go. They have 15 people on the point, but sadly there's 21 for Take Care. They are not taking any chances. They're telling their guild to skirmish right next to or on the point proper here. You see the yellow health bars. They step onto the point, they're immediately targeted down and blasted out here. Dreamy standing here as one of the, again, another liberator for Corrupt, and you see him as a gamer standing on this high ground right here, just barely elevated over everyone else, but he keeps getting pulled in, and this is what I'm saying, that pull is just so powerful on behalf of Take Care right there. They're making full use of it right now. We see Harana over here on the side one more time. The tanks for Take Care doing a pretty solid job, but I'll be honest with you, I'm a little disappointed in their ability to stop Red Camper from taking this rift consistently. They've just basically been initiating whenever they want on this stone.
Yeah, I don't know how seriously the Take Care front line is focusing on the stone. I think if they look at the kill feed and they figure, we've got this, and maybe they're not focusing as much on that cap as they should. You do got to be careful in the final couple minutes not to let the other team sneak that bar too quickly while you're off getting kills. But Take Care doing a really good job of just spreading out, not only on the objective, but just in this open field in front of Morokai. Again, this is a map that they picked. This is a map that they have played on a million times. And if you just look at the overall spread of red names in this section here, they know what they need to do. When the stone is in danger, they're all right there ready to turn around and take it right back. So I don't think they're overly concerned when some of those caps sneak through. They're just going to kill their way back through it.
Yeah, sadly, only 22 seconds left on Corrupt's life in this tournament here. 15 people on the point. They tried valiantly. I think they did a pretty solid job against Take Care, all things considered. But you see the gap between the really close competitive teams. And then again, I mean, remember, Take Care got absolutely rolled. It was the exact opposite situation when they fought Hellowing. It's like the gap between Corrupt and Take Care is the same gap that you see between Take Care and Hellowing. That's the crazy level of play that we see here. 120 kills for Sample, putting on a clinic right there. Glenn NA with 76, Zozor with 72, Broomstick with 70. Again, guys, make sure that you tell us the exact Cordy spinners in the lobby, because if we do catch you with more than 2 Cordy spinners, that would be a tragic way to end your tournament run. You hate to see that. It does look like Corrupts or Zeka, Bad Ripper, and Akara, the top killers of their lobby, or of their side over here. The assists, obviously, very Take Care favored. Damage dealt, 4.8 million for Sample, Glenn, Broomstick, Clem, the top one for Corrupt, Fabi somehow, and again, 2 Liberators being at on the leaderboard for the losing guild is something we have legitimately never seen before across all 3 tournaments worldwide. So very impressive. The next closest is Dreamy on, you guessed it, another Liberator. What are they feeding these people? Devizen on a Spellblade down here. Secret Asian Man 1 on the Gladiator down here. And finally, our first Spear Dagger, Soapy Stud in at number 5 for Corrupt down there. Damage taken looks like Halox on that Crusader. Secret Asian Man on the Gladiator. And Tev, the top 3 tanks of the lobby. Neon, the top for Take Care, and Sunny Stinks down there as well. The amount yield looks like Weeks, Wuru, Mayhem, and Nocturnal, the top tanks of the lobby for Take Care. Corrupt stop tanks for Status Newbie, Dabin, my man, Dabin, and Kinda, and then Creeper, HTC Fudgy down here rounding out the top 5 for Corrupt, Nocturnal, and Audrey rounding out the top 5 on the side of Take Care. They're gonna move on in this tournament. GG's.
GG's indeed. And again, respect to Corrupt for showing up and putting up such a fight. They did know going into that match that it was going to be pretty rough for them, but we didn't see them dip out. We didn't see them dodge. We didn't see them falter. They showed up for the entire match and did what they could. And hopefully they took away some lessons from that, and they will be even stronger as a result.
Yeah, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, as they say. Except they killed Corrupt a lot there, so there's that. It's good fights to both guilds either way. We're gonna have to look ahead to our next match of the day so that we can keep things moving. Versus Seraphim right now. Seraphim from the Stellarite server. I know these guys really well. Fantastic group of guys. Rank 3 in their alliance with Supple. And again, both and Seraphim are in the Supple alliance, and both of them think that they're rank 3. I've been in this situation before with 2 Ethereum guilds. We said that we were number 3. Kira said that they were number 3. So I've been number 3 before. You can't both be number 3, but we're gonna find out here. Rank 1 on their server with 3 siege wins for Seraphim here. They said they're an erotic Christian guild, which is a choice. And their prediction was to be out second round, so they've made it that far.
Yeah, getting out second round again in a double elimination tournament is pretty hard. But on the other side, we do have the guild that was the final match of our last NA East bracket, a match that you guys have to see if you haven't seen it already. Versus Cursed was a phenomenal fight over on the Talus map. These guys coming from the same server, coming from the same alliance, like you said, both placing themselves at 3rd. This is going to be the match that determines who is actually 3rd and who is 4th. Siege's one for is just the last one that they were in last week. Prediction of top 50% would be great. I believe they're in top 50% at this point, right?
Yes, they are. Definitely in the top 50% of the tournament so far. I need my ball points. And chat said, let's be honest, they're both 4th. Ladies, please, you're both the ugliest. That's just how it goes sometimes with chat. Moving over toward the versus screen, Seraphim won the coin toss. They chose to pick this time. Again, we've seen guilds choose to ban, interestingly enough. They chose to pick this time, though, and banned Manticus, Leviathan, Hackalo, and Dwagon. We are going to Azrael as per Seraphim's request, Morlin.
The absolute full T2 ban plus the Azrael pick is the most meta pick ban I have ever seen in my life. But here we are. I mean, Azrael is Azrael. It's the map that we've seen a few times before. Both guilds are definitely going to be familiar with it. Lots of big open space, a bit of a sketchy cliff that you can get thrown off of. We'll see if they're going to be playing near that or away from it. But both guilds claiming that they are similar in strength here. Azrael's a pretty good arena to find out if that's true.
Yeah, looks like Seraphim's conflict boss just ended up dying. Convenient for them. As moving on in the tournament, I'm going to make this announcement right now for all 3 regions. We are not stopping match times and moving match times for ARC bosses anymore. We're done with that. My goodwill on this has been expended by most of the NA East guilds, I'll be honest with you, on this one. But moving forward, I would assume that the guilds are competitive enough in the tournament that, yep, it's you can choose. Hey, man, if you don't, honestly, Borland, I'll be real. If you don't want to go to the tournament because you think that one ARC boss is more important, you're more than happy to give your opponent a buy round. I think that your opponent would be more than happy to take that buy round.
Although I have to stand up for NA East a little bit here, Blue, because you did put them on both Wednesday and Saturday every week.
I don't care. I don't care. Imagine being like, aren't you the most competitive region? Why do you even need ARC boss weapons? Just spend your money. They should have
bought those months ago.
Swipe. Yeah, bro. What are we talking about? Dude, swipe that credit card. How else is North America supposed to win? Okay, aside from going into credit card debt. That's how we beat EU. That's how it always has been. Okay, that's just the way that it goes. No fake. You can't do that. We're just gonna get rid of that. There we go. Yep. Okay. Maybe not 30 minutes, but yeah, okay. Maybe not 30 minutes, but yeah, that's okay. That's all right. We're waiting on the last few Seraphim members to join the lobby here, as it looks like their ARC boss did die. Like you said, one of the most meta pick bans we have seen so far in the tournament. Azrael, the typical GOAT pick if you want like a relatively even match. It's very stable. It's very reasonable. The better guild should theoretically win. But we talked about this. We watched this on EU, I believe, yesterday. Yeah, it was EU, where a guild just legitimately threw the entire match almost. Minus Trin almost lost. They made it look really close. In fairness, Moreland, they gave me a lot better content. They made it look really close against Froost, mainly because they're just spawning at the wrong spawn most of the match. And then we saw the final Latino guild of our NA East tournament lose on Azrael because, again, they're spawning at the wrong spawn. So hopefully both of these guilds understand that.
Yeah, the match where Doom lost was so tragic, Blue. They were absolutely performing amazing in the actual fight, but then they chose to spawn at the furthest possible way away. There's 3 spawns on this map. 1 and 2 are real close, and 3 is 2 or 3 times further away, all the way up the stairs in the back of the temple where the boss spawned. So you're not really going to want to use Portal 3 unless you're going for a full regroup, trying to get everyone healthy and push in as a guild. If you're just reinforcing and continuing to fight, then 1 or 2 are going to be your options.
Yeah, chat saying, and what's funny is they know that they've both 100% practiced war games together on this stone, so this has to be, and again, they're in the same alliance. So these are probably practice partners too. And something interesting happens, guys, when you're playing against your practice partner, but it's like for real this time. Usually you want to pull out some crazy stuff, or you want to try something different that maybe you haven't shown them before because they're ready for any of the stuff that you've been trying previously in your guild here. It does look like that we see is fully joined the lobby. We're still waiting on 6 members on the side of Seraphim. So honestly, slow as molasses, as it were, in this lobby. But 9 spears is kind of crazy for here.
Yeah, we've got 8 spears for Seraphim, and they're still missing an entire static. So there's 9 actually on both sides now. Going to be a much more spear-heavy match than some of what we've seen earlier tonight. Barely seeing any crossbows. I'm seeing 2 crossbows on one side and 3 on another. So mostly just the cordies there. A tremendous amount of wands and shields, which shouldn't surprise anyone. Honestly, most of the weapons here pretty close on both sides. I am seeing a few more great swords, 17 great swords for, I think that's compared to only 13 for Seraphim.
Yeah. It looks like we're at 45 players for Seraphim here now against 47. So very, very close on both sides. But again, in NA, we do not see very many crossbows in North America. On EU, and this is why I'm saying EU is much quicker about trying to pick up on the metagame. I see crossbow dagger used way more in EU. We're only seeing 3 cordies on the side of Seraphim and only 2. I'm sorry. We're seeing 3 crossbows, 2 of which are cordies on the side of Seraphim. We're seeing 2 cordies on the other side, and that's it. No other crossbows in the lobby right now on the side of So I don't know, man. Maybe we're just not picking up on it, but almost 19 healer or 19 wands for Seraphim against 18 over here. So, man, are we about to run 20 healers up in here? Is that the strat?
Well, there's probably a handful of Templars. We could scroll through and see if they're running any Templars. They're probably not all healers. Yeah, I am seeing a few SNS wand players, but I mean, look, dude, wand's strong. I mean, we even saw staff wand performing really well earlier when we were watching Wayland. So wand in a really good spot all around. They've tried to throw some slight nerfs at it here and there, but overall, as both a support weapon and a DPS weapon, it's pretty versatile and pretty viable right now. It does not surprise me that it is the most used weapon on both teams. Although in the case of they also have, they currently have 18 wands, 18 SNSs, and 18 greatswords. So a 3-way tie for picking their most common weapons.
Yeah, absolutely. As Seraphim still waiting on 2 members from Seraphim to join the lobby. They're about to forfeit those 2 members here if they can't get them in the lobby. I told them 4 minutes. That was about 2 minutes ago. They got 2 minutes to fill the final 2 slots here. We are hitting go. I am kind of done waiting for these Arc Boss players to get their Arc Boss done.
Arc Boss has been dead for a minute. I don't know what we're waiting on, guys. Can we click the button?
Yeah, I am done with this at this point, mainly because there's just no sense of urgency for these guilds. At this point, I'm rooting for I love the Seraphim guys, but they're making me an fan. And based on what I've seen from in the previous match on Talus, and again, that was the closest match of the tournament so far, and brought it back, showed some incredible guild solidarity there, brought it back and won at the last moment. Such a cool one to watch here as we get ready to go here on Azrael. I think that okay, so overall, based on the current patch, what do you think the best DPS class is in the game right now, or best 2 or 3 DPS classes in the game right now?
I mean, ironically, I would put the best DPS classes, at least 2 of them are probably SNSs. You got the SNS crossbow and the SNS wand, which are both tanky, but also have the potential to get crazy amounts of kills. The Cordy spinner usually paired with an SNS, and then you've got the Curse Bomber, which is usually played with SNS as well. So a bit of a tanky DPS meta there. But in third place, I think it's pretty clear. Well, maybe not in third place, but the other one out of the top 3 would definitely be Spellblade. I mean, we've just seen that from the leaderboards over and over again in terms of damage and kills. It looks like Spellblade is doing very well. Shadow Dancer not too far behind. I do think there's some meta differences. Maybe even in EU, you would rank Shadow Dancer a little bit higher, but for whatever reason in NA hasn't quite been outperforming those Spellblades. There's some that are, and there's some that aren't, a little bit more back and forth. You could say the same thing with Templars too. There are a few outstanding Templar players. We'll see later on in the match with Supple some Templar players that are really going to, I'm predicting, bring home a ton of kills. But a lot of guilds don't necessarily have crazy Templars, so you're going to see the Cordies and you're going to see the Shadow Dancers and the Spellblades.
Yeah, I think so too. I actually agree with that assessment overall. I just think that EU and NA have such different, and NA West has its own metagame entirely. Almost all of their bows are running Tornado across the board. Do you think that Tornado has gotten a lot better on the current patch? Has anything changed that makes that skill better?
I mean, Tornado, it's always been good. It's just a matter of if your group actually has the synergy to use it, because people will use it in scenarios where it's totally disruptive and inappropriate. But yeah, a well-placed Tornado can absolutely stuff an enemy push, be very disruptive and very useful. It's just a question of how many of those tornadoes are going to be useful ones and how many are going to be obnoxious and disruptive to what your guild is trying to do.
Yeah, it's true. I have seen again, in fairness, the tornadoes are super useful. Maybe not every bow user in NA West is using them, but we are certainly seeing a lot of them use them. We're all waiting on one crashed member right now. As we take a look one more time at the, we see the compositions kind of fleshed out here. 12 daggers against 12 daggers. 15 against 16 SNSs in favor of here. 18. Oh my gosh, 18 great swords against 13 here. It does look like the lobby is full. We are not waiting on the remaining Seraphim members. Let me check, double check that weapons are good. Okay, we're just gonna go. Seraphim sacrifices its final position in the lobby because their members are inept and don't understand how to join a lobby on time. I'm done with it. It's gonna play one member up. We're hitting go on this match. We have waited long enough on this one. The match is just about underway on Azrael here as we get into this one. Yep, you've just forfeit your final member. There's nothing I can do about that. As we move into this one, they're going to play one member down. So Seraphim, a lot of people think is going to win regardless. And now they're both spawning in on each other on the same spawn right now. Seraphim gets the better of them on the initial engagement right here. The rest of starting to spawn in right behind them, though. And Moreland, no one is dying. There we go. Finally.
There we go. Now they're dying.
Yeah, with the first big kill feed of the lobby there, Moreland.
We'll see. I mean, Seraphim took a little bit to join the lobby. We'll see if they are also lagging when it comes to hitting the respawn portals and joining the fight as well. That initial fight, both guilds kind of looking at each other like they're not sure what's supposed to happen next, and then all of a sudden just a devastating kill feed. Completely wiping the floor with Seraphim. We'll see if they're going to continue to just spam respawn here on the same location, or if they're going to give this up and pick a different spot. Usually when you just get trashed on the first spawn here, you don't want to keep trickling in and feeding your opponent. You probably want to regroup elsewhere, but the cap is not live yet, so they have a couple minutes to figure out what they want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. It does look like that is coming out on top of this first engagement, but we are seeing Seraphim battle back in the kill feed a little bit right now. 3.5 minutes before the stone opens up, and they're almost going the wrong way. They're slowly working their way toward the stone. It looks like is kiting towards that choke point over there to try to get in position on the stone. If they can get there, that's great. The problem is you risk being pulled in right now. We've seen many guilds try this here as continually farms Seraphim on their way over to the stone, but Seraphim could eat this big tail here. MD getting a kill feed right there. As again, very back and forth though. Again, we're inching our way closer and closer to this little choke point here. It looks like all at once is going to try to duck up the stairs. Again, they're getting pulled back in though, so good play from Seraphim as they're regrouping and pushing in and not letting move up those stairs. If they disengage for even a moment, they will lose this fight. That's how close this actually is right now, Moreland.
Yeah, this is what you want to see from They want to take that space closer to the objective. If they can funnel Seraphim through the stairs, that's going to be absolutely just free kills for them. But they can't do it too quickly. If they snake in that direction, then Seraphim is just going to eat their backline. So now finally going through the stairs, and they're going to look to hold this choke here. They really want to force Seraphim to go all the way around and find another entrance. I wouldn't be surprised if we see camping here for quite a while. Seraphim is going to have to find some way to break through here. Their tanks are going to have to rush in and spread this fight out because this is a really bad position for them. They're just going to get eaten on that choke.
Oh my goodness, a big pull in and a cordy spin to boot right there on a lot of Seraphim members. That's the problem. You stand too close to that choke, you just get absolutely obliterated. spin after spin after spin right there, just knocking those members out. I definitely favor Uh-oh's position right now. They're beautifully positioned. Even their respawners are running up and disrupting Seraphim's backline right now. You can see them stuck in the choke as they try to push through here. But again, you see them on the other side. You see some Seraphim members trying to flank this fight on the other side, but already you're seeing Uh-oh designate players to deal with that as Seraphim starts to see the light of day. They start to get through this choke point right here.
Really good flank, though, from Seraphim. They did manage to spread Uh-oh out and kind of open that choke up a bit. They got some of their guild in. I don't think they were quite as decisive there as maybe they could have been, but that static or two that went around the side has pulled a lot of Uh-oh members over in this direction. Seraphim kind of controlling the second choke point now over by the wall. If they can continue to do this, continue to draw Uh-Oh members away, then they can take these stairs as well. But it looks like neither Seraphim group is kind of ready to commit and push into the arena yet.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see again, Uh-Oh just dominating this choke point. They clearly understand that pull is so important, and they keep utilizing it every time a Seraphim member steps close. They're like, all right, I'm gonna safe position. I can just stand right here and oh god, and then they get pulled in, they get blown away every single time. The Cordy spinners in this lobby are Zing and Grim for Uh-Oh. Those are the two people to keep your eye on. Eye Smash and Kill on duty for Seraphim on the other side of things. So 4 Cordy spinners in the lobby. They should, and they certainly are making a difference here, Marlon.
Yeah, again, I'm trying to keep an eye on this flank squad from Seraphim, and I'm not quite sure. Like, they were able to push in the group of them and pull a bunch of Uh-Oh members away, but then there was a ton of other Seraphim members that just kind of disappeared. I guess they went back to the other choke point to reinforce. They had a good grasp of this area over here, and then they kind of just left. And so now it's just Uh-Oh for the most part in the arena, holding everything down. We can see a few Seraphim tanks are leaking through, but for the most part, they're continuing to just run right into that choke point and the stairs, which is the last place you want to be going over and over again on this map.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Uh-Oh actually misplayed right there as they initiated their cap on the point, and they didn't really need to pull anyone over there, but they called for their entire guild to shift over onto the point. And we see this, the best guilds never overcommit members to the cap when they have the upper hand. Uh-Oh stepped away from this choke point and has now left Seraphim through the choke point, and now it makes it so much harder to keep people on the point. They do have 39 members on the point. They are out skirmishing them, but they had a dominating performance before. They were basically just locking down that choke point on repeat. There was nothing that Seraphim could do to get through that choke point, and now we're giving Seraphim life here. Zombie Vibe gonna go for the cap on the point. Starcade interrupts it, or Dizzy Giraffe rather interrupts that one more time. You see Dizzy doing a great job of consistently interrupting this. Can he interrupt it one more time? No, he will not interrupt it, and so we will see Seraphim get on the board, but already at 85% is Uh-Oh winning this match so far, Moreland.
Yeah, Uh-Oh had pretty much the best position that you could have on this map. They were near enough the cap to react to whatever they needed to do, but their biggest priority was shutting down those stairs. And if you can have the other guild continuing to just run through these stairs, then you will just farm them on that choke the entire map, and that's what Uh-Oh was doing. But now that the cap is off, you can see that the fight is spread out across the entire arena. Looks like they're recommitting to that choke, though, now that Uh-Oh has finished getting their cap. Okay, guys, it's time to get back over the stairs and continue to hold the choke point, and Seraphim is kind of taking the bait here, running back into those stairs again. I can see a few Seraphim members coming around the side. I think they might actually have a couple of people spawning. Yep, I'm seeing some spawn all the way from 3 and run down. Gonna be some lost time there, but maybe they will be able to take this position and grab some Uh-Oh members away from the choke. We need this Seraphim static over here to start causing some disruption, to start getting Uh-Oh to panic and overcommit like they did to the stone. If they can get Uh-Oh to run away from that choke and towards this other entrance, then maybe their friends can get through the stairs. But in the meantime, everyone on those stairs is just going to be getting farmed.
Yeah, I've been watching Enemy here for the last minute or two, and you can see he was basically, guys, just free farming this high ground for minutes at a time. And this is something I identified very quickly in the match, is Seraphim's frontline has no idea how to use their pulls correctly. These guys literally sat there and let him farm from a high ground on their guild members consistently for minutes at a time before he finally got pulled down like that. And we saw that early on. We're seeing so many more pulls on the side of their front line, knowing exactly what they need to do to make something happen. There's a tornado right there. There's another tornado coming down as well on the side of right there, interestingly enough. So not a completely terrible skill. I'm telling you, it is still situationally useful. I promise, at least on behalf of NA West, I promise. It absolutely is. Again, trying to control this choke point once again. And you can see them getting a lot of clumped up members. There's another big pull in right there. And that is the AoE right there. You pull everyone on top of each other and then they all get AoE down. And I think that that's the difference in this match, is it's just allowing them to consistently get AoE farming down on Seraphim. And then on Seraphim's side, we're seeing almost no pulls, Marlon.
On the other side of the fight, I'm watching Neff here, a gladiator from This was the guy that we called out at the end of the last match for just having a crazy performance with no arc boss weapons. Usually those top fragging gladiators do have one, if not two, arc boss weapons. This guy just using the regular old dungeon weapons, Quakeblade and Hellskewer, and performing really well. He's continuously kind of ignoring the main AoE fight, which is an interesting choice as a gladiator role, but he's over here on the flank and he's just devouring every Seraphim player that tries to come from the other entrance. You can see there are a couple dedicated Seraphim statics trying to flank, trying to get something to happen here, but Neff is just on the back line, shutting these guys down over and over again and not giving his guild any reason to doubt that they are safe, so that they can continue just posting up on that choke while he deals with all of the remnants in the arena here.
Yeah, another big push coming in for Seraphim, but they all get clumped up on the choke. Look at all the pulls right there, and they're just getting absolutely decimated by those pulls are absolutely brutal, man, to watch right there as continually Seraphim tries to push into the choke. We don't see any pulls come down. Every time Seraphim tries to push in, we don't see any pulls come in for Seraphim at all. That's how you stack people up for Cordy spins. That's how you stack people up to get AoE down, even with spear damage. And we're just not seeing that happen, sadly. And we're seeing utilize it basically on every single push. Taoism's gonna go for a cap right there. Dizzy Giraffe is not having any of it though. Moon Knight might get it. Dizzy Giraffe wasted his CC. He can't stop him. He does get that cap off right there. 31 people on the point. Finally, some life for Seraphim right now. 32 people to 32. We have a match on our hands. More than 9 minutes to go.
Yeah, like you said, those hooks are just so important. There's a reason why these guilds are all running a third of their roster or more as SNS players, and one of the biggest reasons, if not the biggest reason, is going to be those chain hooks. There was a change that I saw in the Korean patch notes that nerfed that bulwark down to only 2 hooks instead of 4, but doesn't seem like that is coming our way over in the West quite yet. So in the meantime, these tanks are just going to be continuously so disruptive with that hook, getting the enemy to be positioned right where they wanted, pulling them off the high ground, whatever they need to do. And if one side is utilizing that ability and the other side is underutilizing it, that's going to be a tremendous difference over the course of the fight.
Yeah, it absolutely is. We take a look at the leaderboards with 8.5 minutes left to go here. Let's see who's doing really well and who's doing really poorly. Weeb Commander, number 1 on that spear dagger. The Cordy coming in. Grim for right there. Super Luigi in at number 3. Goldfish in at number 4. And again, dominating that leaderboard. Seraphim Murasami doing his best right there. Goldfish, Excel, Weeb Commander, top damage dealt to the lobby. Invincible doing what he can right there. Damage taken right now at Pani. Eccles, Hot Dog. Again, oh boy, Seraphim struggling right now as every single healer of for the most part is over the top of Seraphim. Trebuchet in it, the number 1 healer for his guild over there. As we take a look back at this, is Grim on that Cordy spinner right there. Holy moly, the leaderboard certainly makes this look favored, and they shut down that cap no problem, Moreland.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard to do anything sneaky on this map. I mean, everyone knows which direction you're coming in, and for the most part, has been doing a very good job of shutting down both of those main entrances. So Seraphim can keep spinning that cap, but if they can't actually win 1 or 2 of these fights, then it's going to be pointless. They can use the stone to kind of pull away from the choke, so there's some, strategy in the sense of, even if we can't secure this cap, we're going to start it, and that's going to taunt all the players players to run away from the stairs and over towards the Rift Zone. That gives the opportunity for Seraphim players to finally get into this fight. But even with a ton of fighting over by the stone, they're still kind of controlling the choke point as well. I'm watching the stairs now, and these Seraphim respawns are really struggling to get through. Again, you've got Neff, that gladiator, and his static playing the kill squad, playing off to the side. And even though the bulk of the fight is over by the stone, the stairs are still very active, and it's really difficult for these Seraphim players to make it all the way through.
Yeah, apparently Striking Wraith guild mission has completed here. Good job, guys. Proud of my guild. Hera Alexandria actually on Invocator. We see a lot of Invocators on NA East nowadays. That's probably the 4th or 5th one that I've seen even today as I click around on the various members here. So maybe I'm getting a little bit more popularity here. Interestingly enough, one of the lowest DPSs in the lobby is standing up on this high ground as this Liberator. I'm not sure what Dragon Rot. He's throwing down damage, but nobody seems to care that he's up there. If I take a look here, where there he is, all the way down here at number 25 in the lobby. Absolute, like, what are you doing up here, homie? I'm not sure Liberator is necessarily the play if you're gonna stand up and try to pigeon from that far away. Maybe there's a reason no one is trying to kill you. It's because you're useless at the end of the day. Finally, his guild initiates another cap right now. 30 members on the point strong. They could have 31, but sadly he's contributing, Morlin.
Yeah, and I came over to see what you were talking about, Blue, and I think maybe he's tabbed out typing in your Twitch chat or something, because he was just pure AFK up on the tower. So not only out of range, but also just not even participating in the fight. Oh, okay, now he's throwing a few abilities and jumping off. We'll see if he decides to rejoin. No idea where he's going. Didn't fly down into the fight. Instead, chose to fly in the opposite direction off the map entirely. So who knows? Maybe he's having some technical issues. Maybe his monitor died or turned itself off, because I'm not quite sure what other reason he would have to do that.
Yeah, interestingly enough, it is important that you have your monitor on for your match so that all 7 of his fingers can be on the keyboard at any point in time. You certainly are going to need them as your guild needs you to contribute, be doing their best to try to stay alive on the point right now, but not able to do so here as we see again Seraphim really struggling to get through this choke. Embargo getting really low on this healer. I've seen him consistently be one of the top healers for his guild over here, but honestly really struggling now. Once again, Weeb Commander, holy moly, this guy is an absolute monster, the top DPS of the lobby, absolute unit, and this guy has got to be angry that both of the Weeb, Femboy, Ayaya guilds got knocked out by Villainous in this tournament. He's one of the only Weeb representatives that loves anime left in the tournament here, and he is showing that this is the alpha male of anime lovers right here, the absolute giga chad of anime lovers. The spear dagger right here, zombie vibe doing their best to interact with the stone. They certainly get that interaction off there, but 42 people standing tall on the point means this might be a short-lived cap, Morland.
Yeah, it's looking pretty red over here by the cap. Again, they can somewhat strategically try to pull members away from the choke point by getting that cap, but unless they actually take the stairs and do something with it, it's not going to matter a whole lot. I would imagine that is going to snuff out this cap pretty quick and continue to maintain the stairs at the same time. Again, Neff and his static are just all over those stairs, despite the majority of the guild leaving that choke wide open. All it's really taking is one static to hold this choke and make it very difficult for Seraphim to get any value or any reinforcement coming back to this fight.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think that Seraphim really struggling to work together as a unit right now, but we're seeing do such a strong job. They made it barely through the last round against Curse, and now they're poised to go yet another round deeper. Remember, this wasn't just a battle for this tournament. Both these guilds thought that they were the rank 3 guild in their alliance overall, so just came out to express dominance in this match.
They did indeed, and both guilds putting themselves as third. Like you said, this was the deciding factor. I don't think that there's going to be any argument after this about what the rankings are. And when you're in an alliance with a guild like Supple, I mean, Supple has changed the third and fourth guilds in their alliance many, many times. Not necessarily a ton of loyalty or commitment there. They're going to look for guilds that are strong. Being the first one to get cut from the alliance is not necessarily a position you want to be in, but after this match, I don't think that there's any dispute who the third place guild in the alliance actually is.
Yeah, you make it sound like Supple is like Darth Vader. I have altered the alliance. Pray that I do not alter it further. On this one, Zig doing a great job of getting these Cordy spins down consistently here for his guild. Coming out and showing that they are an extremely competitive guild overall here, and definitely deserve to go further in this tournament. Yeah, definitely it's showing that they want to go further in this tournament right now. It does look like the Dizzy Glizzy, not much to do as his guild just cannot follow up in behind him here, as we're seeing the Seraphim members try to pour on to this point right here. Moon trying to interact with the point. McBoard over here as well. The DPS members though, or like War Dancer, interestingly enough, playing a healer. PVT Millimeter, I don't see everybody's favorite Liberator on the high ground anymore, so he must have moved somewhere. I have not seen him in quite some time on this one. Note and Sack over here, looks like, great sword dagger user gonna dive into the middle of everyone. Bold strategy. I'm not sure it's gonna work out for him, but he is managing to survive so far on this one as he tries to continually put down damage, but not able to find any, and his health is going to start ticking down now. He's looking for a heal, does manage to find one as his members start to rally toward the point. They start to get a little dire, but there's only 18 seconds left on the clock. It will be on top of this match, going and moving on to the next round of this tournament. They will end up fighting the loser of Cobra Kai versus Exodus. Coming out and showing everyone just how strong this guild can be. Super sleeper guild in this tournament. Weeb Commander, what an absolute Ayaya Giga Chad. If I've ever seen one in my life. 52 kills on a spear dagger, 46 on the Cordy crossbow. Grim right behind him. Super Luigi at 45 here. It does look like the top of the lobby for Seraphim looks like a crossbow dagger. Interestingly enough, in it, Murasame 25 right here. And then the next closest one is Note and Sack that we were spectating right at the end there. Top assist of the lobby, more of the same. It's Goldfish there. Looks like damage dealt 3.77 million for the Spellblade on Goldfish. Excel again, Spellblade's the top 3 here. Invincible the top for Seraphim there. Looks like damage taken. Apani, Achilles, Hot Dog. Ironically enough, playing for Seraphim, but has in his name. Strange, but you know what? It is what it is. Damage taken as a healer at the top of the leaderboards there. Note and Sack actually has some of the highest damage taken in the lobby for Seraphim, in at number 5 right there on a great sword dagger. Interestingly enough, top for is Zing there on that Cordy. 17.8 million damage healed for Silsey, Whiny, Deoxin, Seyfera, and Rough Waves right there. The top healers of the lobby for The top for Seraphim are Trebuchet, Lionel Richie, Illyrian and Wapo, the top healers of the lobby for Seraphim. Honestly, a close match, but definitely on top of that one, Morlin.
Yeah, absolutely. And, 3.7 million damage on a Spellblade combined with only 7 kills is pretty crazy. Normally in a match, if someone's doing 4 million damage, you're expecting that they're getting 30, 50 kills, something like that. But in this case, only 7 kills with that amount of damage just goes to show you can be an outstanding player, but you've got to have that teamwork. Your guild's got to be able to capitalize on that damage that you're putting out. Otherwise, it's just going to get all healed up and it's all going to be for nothing.
Yep, absolutely tragic to see that. And honestly, one of the guilds had to get knocked out. You never want to see that, but at the end of the day, it is Seraphim. The dominant guild in that matchup. Good fights to both teams as we look ahead to our next match of the day. It's going to be Polarity versus Gwenchana. And I know that these guys are already, this is the kind of can-do attitude I want in my guilds. I joined the lobby. Both guilds are already ready to go. And we are, thank God for Polarity and Gwenchana. God bless them. Polarity hailing for the Carnage server, rank 1 in their alliance. Cursed was knocked out by last week. Nemesis was knocked out. They're the last ones remaining in their alliance. Rank 1 on their server with 7 siege wins. The prediction was top 15, which, assuming they win today, will absolutely be the case, Marlon.
Yeah, and Polarity, consider this to be your countdown, aka food warning, so start eating, boys. On the other side, we have Gwenchana from the Snowburn server. Again, these guys, a fairly new guild, no established alliance or siege wins or anything like that quite yet. Prediction, just happy to be here, a good attitude, here on time, both guilds ready to go, organized. Blue, I think this is going to be a really good match. Don't forget to show your dings in chat for Gwenchana if you are a Gwenchana enjoyer. If you want to show them support during the match, I don't know what it means. Still, nobody has explained it to me, but I ding, ding, ding. I'm with it. I don't know what it means, but I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. We certainly have some interesting commentary going on in the chat, talking about an Applebee's commercial of some kind. Maybe I need to get in on some of that action there. We look ahead to the versus screen. We see pick ban went Polarity's way. They won and chose to pick Gwenchana banned. It does look like the bans were Leviathan, Pacolo, Manticus, and Talus. And this is the most played map in NA East in the tournament so far. This makes us, honestly, I'm just going to be honest. It makes me want to put on the music. Why are we going back to Turnup?
Oh, wow. Was this the map that Polarity lost on earlier, Blue? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, I think it was actually the map that Polarity. No. They lost on Talus. Bro, I just can't believe we're seeing Chernobog this consistently in the NA East tournament. Unbelievably enough, just like both teams are ready to go. So I'm gonna give the go here, but it is Chernobog, which can be a bit of a coin flip, but a lot of the NA East players, being the clowns that they are, love a good old clown fiesta. That's exactly what we're gonna see on Cherno here as we load in. Both guilds probably gonna spawn in and immediately start fighting each other. So I'm gonna go right to the live scene on this one. I'm panning across the beautiful scenery of Throne and Liberty here. Look at those graphics in the background, and then the carnage in the foreground as both guilds start running up. Polarity in the yellow, Gwenchana in the red, and Polarity's getting the upper hand on Gwenchana early on here, Borland.
Yeah, pretty yellow kill feed, Blue. Kind of overwhelming on this first push, but remember, Gwenchana is spawning like 5 seconds away, so they're going to be able to reinforce. You do have the high ground that you have to deal with here, and this is Polarity's map pick. They know exactly where they need to be standing here. They have a little bit of a front line holding the stairs down below while their range up above take advantage of that height bonus. We see some chain hooks coming out from Gwenchana trying to pull those Polarity players down back into the fight so they can get something going, but overall Gwenchana really struggling to get up this hill and into the fight there. They're going to be taking this low ground disadvantage if they can't move forward and get up to the top of this plateau.
Yeah, absolutely. Gwenchana only has one Cordy crossbow. Interestingly enough, it's Kshu is the name that you're looking for, guys. Kshu. And then Buoy and Plankton on the side of Polarity over there. So we'll see what they can make happen. I'm locked on to Plankton right now. We'll see if we can't see him make a big spin here, because I'll be honest with you, Polarity definitely looks really dominant right here. They must have prepared Chernobog ahead of time. They are ready to go. They have all of their range classes. There's Plankton spinning. Not going to get much done there. Gets one kill. But you can see everybody lining this high ground over here with Nikishi. And then you see a Spellcaster, an apt name right here for a Crusader. Looking like he looks like a Spellcaster. Maybe he's hoping somebody will pull him, Moreland.
Maybe. I mean, we do have a lot of players in this game that like to name themselves tank when they're a healer, or name themselves healer when they're a DPS, or you name it. So the old name confusion play, I don't know if it's going to be enough, but you got to try everything you can, especially in a scenario like this. We are seeing Gwenchana start to get that kill feed, though. I'm seeing Arios and a few other Gwenchana members start to eat a little bit. Gwenchana making a concentrated group push now up the stairs, much more organized than what we saw the first couple minutes. It was looking pretty devastating, but now I'm seeing continuously more and more red kills. Sparta getting on the map there as well. Is Gwenchana going to be able to actually rally and make something happen here?
Yeah, chat is saying that Gwenchana's that friend guild that probably tells each other good job or you did well immediately after getting dominated. I'll be honest with you, that sounds like a guild I want to be a part of. The last thing I want to hear after we get beaten really badly in a lobby is, "You're trash! You are all complete dog water! You waste of space, human filth!" I don't really want to hear that very much. I would like some words of encouragement, as it were. So Gwenchana seems like exactly what where I want to be necessarily. Maybe not in the other one. I want more of the guild theme song needs to be "Everything is Awesome" from that Lego movie. That's kind of the theme that I'm looking for when I'm playing video games. I really don't necessarily want to be yelled at. Certainly a lot of people that play with me want to be yelled at, though, which is interesting enough, Marlon.
It's really 50-50 in this game. As a shot caller, I can tell you there are some players that really want you to encourage them and hype them up, and there are other players that will not respect you unless you literally call them names for 20 minutes straight the entire fight. Every one of your shot calls has to have an insult attached to it, or else they will not listen. So to each their own. Different guilds are going to have different styles and different strategies, but Gwenchana does seem like a nice group. I wouldn't mind playing with them either.
Yeah, as long as I don't ever get into the bedroom someday and have the other person say, "I want you to yell at me like we're in Node War." I think it's probably going to be fine overall. Everybody has their preferences for how they want to do things, especially when it comes to shot calling in video games here. 45 seconds left on the clock before the cap initiates here. And I fully accept, yeah, Polarity at the top of the leaderboards. Nathias, Urine, Night Ghost, 11, and Syphe, the top 5 of the lobby. Melee coming in at number 6 for Gwenchana right there. Doing his best. Damage dealt again. Keishu and Melee and Sparta trying to get damage dealt done for their guild on the leaderboards right now, but really struggling Gwenchana here. It does look like Keyboard Cowboys. What a name for a guild. Findale right there doing a great job on the damage taken as a healer, but Slurpee the top damage taken of the lobby so far. Now Mount Heal definitely Polarity favored as Farbos, Ludens, and Willow Harper are running away with the top of the leaderboards for those healers right there. Polarity looking really solid in this match so far.
Yeah, very one-sided kill feed once again. We have seen the fight actually move up to the stone now, so Gwenchana not having to deal with as much of that height disadvantage. They are actually fighting up on the platform, but it seems like they're just having trouble staying up there. Despite the fact that the fight is now centered around that stone, Polarity is continuing to just dominate the kill feed, getting way more frags. I'm seeing some Gwenchana players now circle around the side and use the hook to go straight to the top. Not a bad option, especially since Polarity is kind of ignoring it a little bit. They might be able to get a bit of a flank going here, splitting between those stairs and the hook. If they can bring the fight up on this platform, it's definitely better than fighting up from the bottom of the stairs, but I don't know if it's going to be enough in this scenario. I'm still seeing quite a lot of kills coming out from Polarity.
Yeah, by the way, Nathias is an absolute animal. Bro, whoever is healing Nathias is an absolute goat of healing. I don't know who his static group is, but this guy has gotten low like 6 times, and his healer keeps bailing him out like his name is Joe Biden or something in some sort of bailout strategy. Unbelievable how Nathias continually stays alive. No matter how aggressive or even unaggressive he actually wants to be right now. He just stands in the middle of everything. He gets really low again. Wait for that heal. There it is. One more time. The heal coming through. Oh, get just one more heal. Again, what is going on? He just can't die. He finally goes down right there. Unbelievably. Right there. Holy moly. It is that hard to kill one of the top DPSs in the game. And I gotta believe that's why he is one of the top DPS of the lobby for Polarity, just asserting dominance right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to watch Keishu playing from Gwenchana's side. It looks like he just got shoved off. I was watching some of his parkour up the side of this mountain here, and I really thought for a second that he was going to have it. But now he's fallen all the way down and having to go across. Look at how much worse this is than having to respawn. I mean, literally, this is like dying 3 times in a row here. It takes so long to go all the way around. This is where he would have respawned. So he's just now getting to the point where he would have spawned in had that been a kill. That's why those hooks and pulls are just so strong on any map that has this kind of cliff. Keishu now looking to re-enter the fight. Let's zoom in a little bit so we can see what he can do. This is the only Cordy on the side of Gwenchana, so a lot of pressure on this guy to get some value, and that spin gets 0 kills. Looks like he might have tickled a few Polarity members, but just not enough to do anything. I've seen Keishu get a couple triple kills, so it is possible, but in this case, maybe just a little bit too desynchronized with his group, not able to make it happen.
Yeah, sadly, Keishu just unable to come up with it. And honestly, in fairness, if you aren't buffed up going in on the Cordy spin, it is kind of a little lackluster. It still does a decent amount of damage, but it's not just absolutely blowing people away like we see Cordy's in the rest of the tournament. It really does matter. Plankton getting a good spin off right there on the stairs, or just below the stairs rather, up to the point right now. Certainly Polarity on top of this one in a dominating performance as they basically run through Gwenchana. Gwenchana has had a great run in this tournament so far. They beat Blood Paradox in the last round there, and that's after they coming down from the winner's bracket, and they beat Nemesis in the first round. So I think that Gwenchana, who is mainly showing up and just trying to have a good time, getting 3 wins in the Best in Guild tournament is extremely impressive, even if they go out here.
Yeah, indeed. It was very impressive. And again, we've said it before, but this is a guild we really knew nothing about, really had no expectations about. Being able to put together a group, especially if it is a group that has as positive of a mindset as people say. I mean, there is definitely an attitude among PvP guilds that thinks that you have to be pretty toxic to be successful. But if these guys are able to come in as a freshly formed group and get 3 wins, they'll continue to improve. They'll continue to, most importantly, have fun and actually enjoy playing the game and enjoy hanging out with each other. So even though we might see Gwenchana, well, we are probably going to see Gwenchana get knocked out here. I got to give them congratulations for getting this far and for having fun doing it.
Yeah, they have 26 people, 28 people on the point right now. Interestingly enough, still managing to rally this many members onto the point with a kill feed that looks that one-sided. Just shows you how strong the industrial grade helmet that these players are wearing actually is. I mean, honestly, it has a hardness of granite. I mean, it's straight up made of some industrial strength thickness right now. Unbelievably enough, these guys, they do manage to get wiped off on the point there, but being able to get 28 people on the point, look at the kill feed on the right side of your screen. It's basically solid yellow right now, and they have their helmets on. They're willing to die for their guild. And that's exactly what they're gonna do. They run up and they are just doing their best, Moral, and they're doing what they can here. Keishu in this corner almost gets pushed off. Never mind, there he goes.
There we go.
The only Cordy crossbow on the side of Gwenchana is going to get pulled off and have to run all the way around. That is not a good sign for their guild, as their frontline is doing their best to try to break through what looks like an unstoppable Polarity frontline here.
Yeah, Blue, he's got to stop walking in that direction of the stone. There's a pretty good amount of space in the front of this plateau where you can more or less avoid getting hooked off. If someone's really trying to shove you over there, you might be in trouble, but there's a lot of space in this platform that you can take that will not lead for you getting shoved off over and over again. And as the only Cordy on Gwenchana, Keishu is really going to want to avoid getting tossed off again. That's at least the second time that we've seen him do that. And again, remember, that's equal to 2 or 3 deaths every time you get shoved off there. Very, very bad scenario, literally worse than getting killed. So hopefully we can position a little bit better coming back, and that's one of the reasons why we say Cherno is a bit of a coin flip map, because as you said, even though the kill feed is totally in Polarity's favor, somehow Gwenchana is able to get a lot of feet planted in the cap. And that just has to do with the fact that the respawn is so close, and you can go up the stairs or you can just grapple. You can get back to this cap so quickly. Even if you're getting farmed, there are some wacky things that can happen here with the Chernobog Stone. You never quite know what's going to happen, even if one side is pretty dominant. But it does look now like Polarity is pushing back towards those respawns. If they can start stuffing Gwenchana on the stairs here, then there's nothing sneaky that's going to be able to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. We take a look at the leaderboards one more time here. I'll actually close it as we have Nyx going in right now on this spear. Dagger gets flipped down the stairs. We'll see if he can't make anything happen at the bottom of the stairs here. This is where Gwenchana is spawning in. Plankton gets a really big spin, and oh my goodness, they end up going down, but not without killing at least 10 members of Gwenchana right there, as Polarity tightens the vice grip of this map. Under 8 minutes to go right now. Willow Harper doing a great job of healing in this match right now. Let's take a look at the leaderboards one more time. Flying Penguin, Farbos, Ludens, Willow Harper, some of the top healers of the lobby right there. Damage taken looks like Magic Archer, Sparta, and its Shadow. Even Polarity winning in the damage taken somehow, getting one of their healers on the board right there. 3.5 million damage done by Nathias. Night Ghost 11 and Frowne. Sparta doing his best, doing what he can on the side of Gwenchana. Gwenchana able to get onto the leaderboards against Polarity. It's not a complete shutout, but certainly Polarity showing a lot of guild cohesion here.
Yeah, Polarity pushing Gwenchana all the way practically to the respawn. Looks like they may have pulled back a little bit now, trying to cover this Gwenchana flank that is going from the cap. But as long as Polarity is reasonably confident that that cap is safe, they're going to push all the way down the stairs and go straight for the spawn camp here, trying to just assert as much dominance, show as much strength as they can. You always have that demoralizing factor on Cherno because it is such a blender, because you are just spawning, dying, dying. The psychological impact of having multiple deaths in a short term, very, very frustrating. So Polarity wants to push out to this respawn, but they also can't get too cocky, pulling back to the stone now as Gwenchana uses the grapple to get up. They're going to choose to play it safe here and continue looking at the stone. They don't want Gwenchana to get a cap. They don't want to risk that Chernobog coin flip, so they are going to play it safe. But I suspect if they can clear this plateau again, we are probably going to see another push aggressively back down towards the respawn so they can continue to try to flex here.
Yeah, Isla Summers and Willow Harper, two the top healers of the lobby over here, standing right next to each other. I have to believe they're probably in the same static group here as we lock on and watch this. We saw Kitty a little while ago as well. It does look like that the healers on the side of Polarity definitely making a massive impact on this fight right now, as we do see another initiate for Gwenchana, but again, another Cordy spin goes down and just wipes Gwenchana off the Rift Stone, down at 19 people on the stone with 40 from Polarity. As we tick down to the 5.5 minute mark, we are probably going to see Polarity move on in this tournament to fight the loser of Supple versus Dwagon, which is one of our next matches of the day. So Polarity having a great time in this match, but the tournament's just going to keep getting harder from here on out.
Yeah, and Polarity, ironically, having to kind of fight the polar opposites, if you will, in this tournament, going from fighting some of the strongest guilds in the tournament. I believe their first round was against Exodus, was it not? And now they are down in the loser bracket, trying to climb their way back up. But they have shown a lot of strength in this match, and in the previous one, they are now officially past their prediction, which I think was top 15. So definitely Polarity looking like they are going to move forward. We're probably going to see one more attempted cap from Gwenchana here, try to do some sort of heroic last second comeback, but unless they can make that happen in the next couple minutes, then Polarity is pretty safe to just chill.
Yeah, it does look like that they're really struggling to get up the stairs here as we're locked on to Kepi. We're going to see what they can make happen here. A healer on the losing guild side of things, very difficult to play and position correctly. Kepi actually really hesitant to step up these stairs. Oh my goodness, dives into everything. Kepi, I'm not sure this is where you would never mind. Holy Kepi, what are you doing right now? Gets back to full health despite some of the top DPS in the lobby wailing on him right there, or her, who knows, at this point, but is Static in a lot of trouble right now, and Kepi just trying to stay safe as they battle it out on the stairs right here. And again, this is how difficult it is to position on a healer, now running for their lives as they run back down the stairs to try to regroup with their Static that is respawning down here. They know that they are in a lot of trouble, but Kepi doing what they can to stay in a good position and keep their Static alive. It's brother Kepi. Okay, right on. Love to see that. But yeah, honestly, they initiate another cap on the stone. Only 13 people on the point, though. We're down at 3.5 minutes remaining, so I think we're in stat pad time on the side of Polarity here.
Definitely in stat pad time. This is going to be the last cap that Gwenchana can have that has any chance of even threatening Polarity. But Night Ghost coming in with 6 kills straight. Definitely going to just shut down this Gwenchana push and solidify this match. Blue, we didn't see Gwenchana really shake things up during this match. I expected, usually when a Cherno is not going your way, you might expect halfway through for them to try to spawning at a different portal or do a full regroup or something like that. But they kind of just ran it down mid the entire time. Do you think it would have made a difference if they had shaken things up and maybe approached from a different angle?
I think that Gwenchana is literally like the Joker in this matchup. Normally, I would say absolutely it makes a difference. It's all about the morale of your squad. But as a shot caller, you have to make a gut decision. Are your guys having fun? I think that Gwenchana are running up these stairs in hysterics right now. They're crying with laughter as they move forward, and they're just having a great time being here and being in the tournament. They don't care whether they're winning or losing. They're just having a good time. And honestly, again, they're just hysterically laughing like the Joker while they get farmed, and you got to respect it at the end of the day. But yeah, normally as a shot caller, you do want to back off and try something different. If you were trying to be competitive and you're trying to well, mix it up. Helps people kind of relieve that stress, that tension in their head a little bit, instead of just constantly slamming their head against the wall like this. Most normal people want to back up, take a breath, try something different every time. But people that are insane love slamming their head against the wall more than Gwenchana. They're big fans.
We do definitely have a good amount of insane players in this tournament, Blue. But hey, I mean, look, getting together with the homies, making a guild, and joining a tournament for fun to see how far you can get. No expectations. It sounds like a fun project. I mean, if you lose, you lose. If you win, you win. And Gwenchana did manage to secure several wins in the early rounds of this tournament. So good on them. It looks like this is going to be their final match. So GG's. One more little cap here, but with the time on the clock, even if they were able to make an overwhelming push, probably not going to matter too much. We're continuing to see that yellow kill feed, but Gwenchana still on the board. Wasn't a total shutout. Like you said, Blue, they were able to get many caps at least going here, and they have a few players that are going to show up in this leaderboard at the end when we go over the numbers as well.
Yeah. It looks like, yeah, and just so you know, interestingly enough, fun fact, Gwenchana means it's okay in Korean. So again, these guys are insane. They do not care. They are just running up. They just say it's okay. It's okay. We just run up and we just run it down on this one. As it looks like our next lobby is actually already ready to go. 30 seconds left on the clock. It looks like Gwenchana is sadly going to be knocked out of this tournament here. They're going to move on to fight the loser of our next match. It looks like, which is going to be Velocity versus Tier. 10 seconds left on the clock. Buey gets another big kill feed right at the end of time remaining here. Big respect to Gwenchana. I couldn't agree more, chat. Thank you for being kind to all of the guilds that come out and play in the tournament. I'm sure we're not going to see that as much in the next lineup. We'll see. There's a lot more beef between those guilds. 81 kills for Nathias, Night Ghost, Buey coming in at number 2 and 3 there. We scroll down, we look at Gwenchana's melee, Keishu and Sparta, the top 3 on behalf of Gwenchana. Right there, the assists, again, very Polarity favored. Slipper G and Sparta coming in as the top assists of the lobby for their team right there. It looks like damage dealt 5.8 million for Nathias, 11 Night Ghost for Oani, and Sparta rounding out the top 5. Sparta, of course, the top DBS for Gwenchana there. Melee and Keishu trying to bring up the rear. Buey down at the bottom of the damage dealt leaderboards there as well. The other Cordy on behalf of Polarity. Damage taken, Slurpee and It's a Shadow, the top 2 tanks of the lobby, and Shadow being a healer. That's pretty typical in Throne. The Crusader, though, coming out at number 1. Polarity in at number 3 with Magic Archer, which again is another healer, but we see the Crusader on Jetro Keeter for Polarity right there, coming as the top take for them.
Rocketeer.
What? Jack Rocketeer. Oh, okay. Look, it's not my fault. I see Jethro. I thought it was like Jethro Tull. You know what? It's not my fault. He spelled his name like a ding dong. Anyway, amount healed 20.8 million for Flying Penguin, Farbos, and Luden's Magic Archer. Chat, I don't want to hear it. Top 5 of the lobby right there. And then Gwenchana's top either of the lobby is Scoopia, Nulki, and Kepi. If Kepi has a million fans, I am one of them right there. So not the closest match we've had, but we certainly have a banger next.
We have several bangers next, Blue. I think we have got pretty much back-to-back bangers for the rest of the night tonight. But yeah, this next match, one I'm very excited to see. The boys from Tier, I was gilded with a lot of these guys in Bricked and allied with them as well. A lot of these players we know from BDO, from some top guilds there. Some streamers, as you mentioned, Vert and some of the other boys. A lot of familiar names, a lot of familiar faces. But going against one of the top Snowburn Alliance guilds that has gotten much stronger recently, this is going to be a crazy one.
It is going to be a crazy one. I want to say good fights to Gwenchana and Polarity there. Showed up on time for their match. They made it look Polarity making it look easy, but Gwenchana making it look fun. So good fights to both of them. Now we're going to move on to one of our feature matches of the night. But honestly, every single match here moving forward is going to be against some of the most competitive guilds in NA East are playing for the rest of the night. The very first matchup of the day for these really highly competitive guilds is Tier and Velocity. Tier, as Moreland said, from the Ivory server in the Hellowing Alliance, alongside Exodus and Corrupt. Corrupt getting knocked out earlier. Another very competitive guild getting knocked out of the tournament in the losers bracket by Take Care, and again, Take Care on Velocity's side over there. So it looked like Tier finished 4th in the Best in Guild T1 tournament, and that was a very narrow 4th place finish. They almost got 3rd, but Press W flipped Azrael at the last moment on them, or they would have taken home that win. 5 siege wins there on the board for Tier. I'll let you introduce Velocity.
Velocity from the Snowburn Alliance, placing themselves second in that alliance with Take Care, Dwagon, and I believe Flex. I think we have Velocity listed there twice, but I think Flex is the other guild. Again, very strong guilds in that alliance. Is Velocity second or not? We will have to see when it comes down to this tournament. This is what's going to, I think, solidify, all the trash talk and all the posturing of who is actually the strongest and who isn't. Their alliance strength on the server being first, definitely the case. The Snowburn Alliance, very strong. They're dominating over there right now. Apparently these guys are associated with Press W from the T1 tournament because they have 3rd here. Some chat are saying that's true, some are saying it's not, who knows, but their predictions here 3rd to 6th, definitely valid. This is a strong guild and they have a strong opponent. This is going to be a tough one. I think personally, me though, I'm leaning in the favor of Tier here.
So I'm kind of leaning in the favor of Tier, but it's because I know people in Tier. I know that Velocity thinks that they're going to lose. I do want to give a shout out to a couple of our streamers that have been following the tournament very closely that are playing right now, and that is Vert and Invulnerable GG. There we go. I got it spelled correctly right there. It looks like Invulnerable and Vert are both streaming their perspective of the match. So if you guys want to spectate the tournament through their lens, you absolutely can. You just don't get the Baldage shoutcasting, the Giga Chat. You don't get the full perspective, but sometimes it can be fun to see the tournament from another perspective like that. You look over at the versus screen. Again, Velocity versus Tier. It looks like Tier won this coin toss, and that's very impactful. They chose to pick Velocity has banned. Velocity has banned Grand Alon, Azrael, Chernobog, and Pacolo. Tier is going to Talus.
Very based with that Azrael ban. I do appreciate the Velocity boys for doing that. But we are heading back over to Talus, which is, I think actually we might have seen more Talus matches than Azrael this time around.
But not more than Cherno.
Nevertheless, this is a map that both of these guilds are going to have played a million times. They might have even played each other on this map in the past, doing some scrims. So we'll see what's going to happen here. If we look at the team composition, 19 wands, 17 or 18 SNSs on both guilds. Everything actually looking pretty similar. Pretty much same number of daggers, crossbows. There's a couple more spears on the side of Velocity, but overall, very, very close team comp here.
Yeah, absolutely it is. As we get the go from our tournament director, guys, this is one of those matches like in The Matrix where they say Morpheus is fighting Neo and everybody just drops what they're doing and flips it on. This is what you want to see. This is why we have tournaments, is to see matches just like this. For once and for all, let's find out who is stronger, Tyr or Velocity. It's Tyr in the red, it's Velocity in the yellow on Talus of all Riftstones. Both guilds coming out on opposite sides here, already posturing in position. It looks like Velocity is a little bit behind on this one. Autumn the shot caller, I think, on the side of Velocity, posturing back and forth. Moshi, there looks like Velocity's backing up. This is not good for Velocity. There's now stuck in a choke. Tyr knows it. Tyr goes for the engaged. Big pulls going down. Excellent pulls in for Tyr right there. But both guilds moving in. No one has died yet. Interestingly enough, finally Vert gets first blood against Flux on the board right there for Tyr. But oh my god, it's two Terminators fighting each other. Finally, we see Tyr overwhelming the kill feed in this first one, and they deserve it. That was a crazy good engage for them, Moreland.
Yeah, Tyr is going to be one of the most bloodthirsty comps in the entire game right now. I mean, there are a lot of ego players here, and even if you tell them to hold back, they're just going to ignore you and go forward anyways. These guys want to get kills. They want to be at the top of the leaderboard at the end. If they see any sign of weakness from Velocity, any gaps, any openings, they are going to be pouncing all over that. And right now, it is just overwhelmingly going in their favor as they do not hesitate and push Velocity all the way back almost to the respawn.
Yeah, well, now D-Bone's in the middle. D-Bone's actually might be the shot caller for Velocity here. He's in the middle of everyone. Don't see any emotes this time. Interestingly enough, we saw him emoting a tremendous amount previously in the tournament, but when your guild is getting blasted, not the best. It makes you a little bit more silent there, Moreland, as it looks like Velocity finally running back to the fight. This is a problem for them, because their statics are not ready set. They're not ready. They're not readied up. They're not stacked. You don't have those pre-buffs all stacking on one another before you run in and engage like Tyr does. You look over on Tyr's side. Look how many shields you see. Look how much overhealing you see. Everyone's already buffed up and moving because the statics are all right next to each other. You're not seeing that time for Velocity, and I think it's costing them dearly in this match right now.
Yeah, absolutely. That first fight, things were looking kind of even, neither squad getting any kills, and it was kind of like, okay, well, maybe we have some tanky comps here, maybe it's going to be more even, but then Tyr just breaking through and overwhelming Velocity. Velocity going to have to do a better job of taking advantage of when their buffs are up. It feels like they just waited for all those buffs to wear off and allowed themselves to just get farmed by Tyr. They're going to have to double down and take this fight a little bit more seriously if they want to make something happen.
Yeah, absolutely. D-Bone's waiting on the stone right now. 2 minutes left on the clock. Velocity goes for one more push right now, but Tyr is ready for it. And look at the flank from Tyr, and the pulls coming in on the side of Tyr is going to do a crazy amount of damage right now. Vert out on the side of the fight, getting locked down by Wesky. Let's see if that greatsword can end up killing him. No, his healer keeps him alive. He goes into stealth, manages to get away with that wand dagger right there as he, oh my god, just slips away and then continually pumps out damage on the side of Tyr. The fight moving in Tyr's direction as things move on right now, and you have to think that it has a lot to do with how well these statics work with one another. Wesker on him again. He is running Vert's pockets right now, but Vert just not having any of it. Wesker again attacking Vert one more time. Now Wesker is locked down. He's on the ground. Orangutan said, "Get out of here." Holy moly, I got you for 3 minutes, Moreland.
Yeah, Velocity finally getting some kills, but only way back, practically under the respawn. They got some hooks and were able to separate a few Tyr players away from their group, and that seems like the only way that they are able to get any kills at all, is if they can make that separation. Now finally pushing over to the stone for the first time as a group. Velocity within range. The cap is not live for another 40 seconds, but Velocity needs to make some kind of push here to get ready for that cap to come open. A few of them have circled around to the grapple, Supple and are kind of scrapping in the back line, but the feed is just as red and one-sided over here. I'll see 1 yellow kill and then 10 red kills, Blue, whether it's the back line or the front line. Tier is just completely locking this down. I have to remind you guys, Velocity is not a weak guild at all. One of the strongest guilds in NA East right now. They placed themselves second within the Snowbird Alliance. I'm not sure about that, and I think especially after watching this fight, we might have to reconsider that ranking, but still, nonetheless, one of the strongest alliances in the game and one of the strongest guilds in the game, but Tier is just demolishing them regardless.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to give respect where respect is due right now. Tier dominating that leaderboard as we just took a look at it before the cap opened up on my screen there. Vert at the top of the damage leaderboards on a wand dagger of all things. I mean, I always say that the NA sleeps on the wand dagger. We see it a lot more prevalent in EU. This is the first time we've seen a wand dagger be at the literal top of the leaderboards for NA. Clearly, he knows something and how to play it better than other people do. Clearly, he's got a better handle on this situation as Tier pushes in. Neither guild able to actually initiate a cap right now, as it looks like that Velocity has managed to push Tier back off the stone, and now Tier is battling to try to get back in control of the stone. Purple Chicken gonna go for one more cap, gets pulled off again. Both front lines not allowing the other to interact with the stone. Dodeki's gonna go for another cap on the side of Velocity. Interestingly enough, it is Velocity continually interacting with the stone. Can they get it this time? 80, 90%. Can he get there? He does manage to get that off, and it is Velocity that initiates the first cap of this fight. And again, it's Tier looking like they're gonna step in on this one. We've seen them interact with it a couple times so far. We'll see if their front line gets more people on the stone here, as again, it's very close, actually. Look at that kill feed for Rhythm right there as we see 20 people rallying for Velocity. They may have been holding out on us. Their percentage is starting to climb. Tier can't interact with this stone, Moreland.
This is a really good push from Velocity. They are kind of coming out of nowhere. I don't know if it just took them a second to warm up. Maybe they had to, stand up and stretch their legs or something, get the blood flowing, because it looks like they're finally starting to react and play this objective. Now that the objective is live, it feels like Velocity is taking this much more seriously. The kill feed is at least going back and forth a bit, still favoring Tier, though. I don't know if they're going to be able to completely solidify this, but that bar is climbing.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, we're seeing them 18% and starting to climb these matches. We're under the 13-minute mark here. I think Tier is deliberately not interacting with the stone yet. But again, if Velocity slowly climbs on this stone, and we've seen Velocity, this is not what you want to do, is not interact with the stone until the closing minutes of the match here. We saw this strategy on NA West exactly once. Now we're seeing Tier. I'm pretty sure that's what Tier is doing. They're intentionally not interacting with the stone here on Talus to allow that. I guess maybe they want to wait. They don't want to get back capped. So they think that this match is probably close enough that they can get reverse capped in this case. But the problem is, I think the D-Bones in the front line for Velocity can keep them from even initiating a cap on the stone at all. And if they do that for long enough, it's going to take Tier a long time to get to 100%. Either way, they're keeping enough people on the point right now that they're able to make it happen. Oh my goodness, a lot. Big Cordy spin right there for, it looked like Strix right there. Rhythm in the middle of everything, doing what he can on the side of Velocity here as he's got that spear dagger in his hands. We've seen a couple kill feeds for him come out so far in this match. Velocity needs to try to get back on top of this one. 12 people on the point right now. That is not enough. 19 for Tier right now.
Yeah, it's an interesting strategy. I mean, if the fight was closer, I would kind of see what Tier is going for here. If you think that it's more of a 50-50, there is definitely some strategy in not capping first so that you can slowly tick the stone back and not give your opponent a chance to secure it twice. But in this case, Tier is so dominant, it feels like a bit of an unnecessary risk. Things can definitely go poorly. They could get some unlucky caps. They could get their tanks disrupted at the last second. It's a little bit risky to hold off for this long. We'll see at what minute mark they decide to actually go for it. If you're this overwhelming and you can completely keep Velocity from even climbing the bar, I would think you would want to just secure the thing and not take the risk.
Yep, that is correct. That is typically what you want to do. I think that maybe they thought that this was going to be a little bit closer than it actually is, and they took the fight really seriously, and they're just sticking to plan A on this one. But you would have loved to see an audible. You know what? They know. Well, we'll see here. Purple Chicken continuously tries to interact with the point. You see Argonite right behind him, gives him a heal. Can he get it? Yes, he does right there. And there's 5 people on the point for Velocity as they continually try to pour onto the point as we tick under the 10-minute mark now. Tyr has still not approached the point to try to take it again right now. As again, we see Velocity slowly start to climb in that percentage, but we're seeing so many pulls, so many blood devos down on the side of Tyr over here. It's very impressive to see this. Oh my gosh, Vert is absolutely farming right now on this curse bomb right here. He's definitely feuded by a few of the members of the enemy squad, but honestly, he just feels safe. He can just throw down as much damage as he wants right now. If we take a look at the leaderboards, Vert is still on top, pulling away at 2.4 million damage done due to Dogwater with the top kills of the lobby right now. You come down here for Velocity, it's Rose Furig, and again, Rautu right there. Top for Velocity for DPS is going to be Anemic, and then Moshi. Interestingly enough, damage taken, obviously, Autumn at the top of the leaderboards for Velocity right there, and then Tyr dominating massive Edon, Al Capal over there at the top 3 healers of the lobby for Tyr. Velocity's Viola, the top healer for them, really struggling to get onto the point now. Again, this is not oh my goodness, and see, now they're going to start. It looks like Tyr is starting to try to interact with the point here as Zeet is going for it. But again, now they're getting interrupted by this Velocity frontline. Like I said, Velocity is just not letting them interact with the point here. I mean, it's not dire quite yet, but if they keep this up for another 2 minutes, it's going to start getting dire, Marlon.
Yeah, even if you're winning the kill war, Blue, you can still lose the collision resist war. So I don't want to see Tyr wait too long to go for this stone. It is a bit of an unnecessary risk, but in the meantime, they're getting that kill feed and they're staying pretty safe. So I think they'll be okay. I have been watching Masilis's perspective, one of the old school BDO Sork players, a streamer that a lot of you guys know and love. Watching him play Ravager now, and it is so interesting just to see him own this little pocket in between these stone and the grapple. He has this little space where he kind of blends into the rest of the team. You can't quite tell that there's a Ravager running around there. Gives him just enough opportunity to find those priority targets, Shadow Strike onto them, blow them up, and then disappear back into the ball of red players. Very strong static that he's playing with, keeping his health pretty much full at all times. And if he's ever in any danger, he's got that cliff to fall off of. He's got the dagger stealth, able to just lock down any high priority targets while keeping himself completely out of harm's way.
We have a bit of a problem. Tyr cannot get a cap off. With Zeit's going to go for it one more time, but I think Purple Chicken is going to try. Yeah, interrupts him again as Tyr has been trying to get an initiated cap for over 2 minutes now. They will lose this stone. To be clear, at the end of time, if no guild actually owns the stone, which might happen here, whichever guild has more percentage at the end of time remaining will win, which means if one guild is not participating, even if Velocity has 1% on the board, they will win this lobby. Purple Chicken's going to try to interact with it one more time, and I'm telling you, Velocity keeps trying to interact with this stone. Velocity is able to get caps off, but Tyr is not. They get interrupted again. Now it's Purple Chicken stepping forward. They're trying to CC him. They're trying to stop him. 80, 90, another successful attempt from Purple Chicken right there. Tyr's strategy might be backfiring pretty big right now. They still have 6.5 minutes. Can he get this cap off? No, gets interrupted again. We're getting close to the 3-minute marker. Are Tyr gonna clown this up, Moreland?
Blue, I'm starting to get a little bit nervous. I mean, waiting until maybe the 12 or 10-minute mark is one thing, but what do we at this point? You guys got to get the cap. You got to get that thing locked down. Velocity is probably not going to be able to get any kind of back cap with only 5 or 6 minutes left, but they can easily outclimb you if you are going to lose that tank war on the stone. It doesn't matter if you're behind in kills. You can still sneak those caps and sneak that percentage. If you're just chain pushing those Tyr tanks off the stone, it doesn't matter if they're out fragging you.
This is a problem. Zeit's gonna go for it again and nobody to interrupt him. He finally gets it off under the 6-minute mark. Tyr finally gets a cap off. Holy, that was a little scary. But Moshi with a huge kill feed right there, and another spin on the side of Velocity, waking up. Wokage emote right there as Velocity pushes in to try to thwart this cap. But I'll be honest with you, I think that Tier now is going to start to take control of this. Again, 3.5 minutes after they tried to start taking it. That's the problem, is if Velocity had been able to prevent them from getting this cap for the next 5 minutes or so, which is a long time admittedly, but they already done it for 3 minutes. They prevent that for another 5 minutes. Velocity comes up with this lobby, no problem. And that is kind of sweaty. That's why you normally don't want to wait until the last minute. You kind of overthink the lobby a little bit when you wait till the last minute. If anything, you can just pull people off the stone. Take it slowly. I understand guilds don't want to reverse cap, but at least get it initiated, Morlin. At least get it going, and then just kind of feather the percentage until the moment that you actually want to take it is probably the best way to actually do it, instead of waiting on that cap, because you put a lot at risk.
Yeah, you can linger the stone around 30% or something. That's a lot better than keeping it at 0 and having to channel that entire cap. That was definitely making me nervous. I was sitting up in my chair a little bit. What's going on here, boys? So, but they are able to get it now. And wait, what happened?
Yeah, it does look like the Tier took control of the stone. Velocity is pulled off completely at this point with 4 minutes left to go in the lobby right now. Again, we will see these guys move down to the losers bracket if they do end up losing this match. 4 minutes left to go. It certainly looks that way as Tier wipes the remainder off the stone. I would be engaging right now. All of Tier is looking the wrong way. It looks like the Velocity shot caller thinks exactly like I do. Purple Chicken gonna dive in. Right now, Tier is not in position, but neither is Velocity, just taking 11 years to get forward on this one. Good flank coming in for Velocity right there, but I'm not sure it's going to be enough as Tier just clamps down dominance every single engagement, Morlin.
Blue, you could see the hesitation there from Velocity, and I think that cost them that push. They had a really good spot coming in. I don't think Tier was looking in that direction. You could tell a full regroup was coming, but they had a good pace there, but they just waited a little bit too long. They gave Tier time to figure out what's going on and spin their cameras around, get their buffs up, and Tier was able to just stuff them as they've been doing all match. That's the morale degradation of losing over and over again. You have that final push where Velocity is organized enough to listen to the shot caller and know what they need to do, but just that hesitation from getting smashed all round is going to cost them from that push actually being effective whatsoever. They just waited and allowed Tier to respond.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I would have laughed so hard if they waited to initiate that cap and then it had cost them dearly. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God. But like, fortunately, they were able to get that cap off, but it was clear that Velocity's strategy was to keep them from getting that cap off, and they did that successfully for many minutes right there. If they had they executed that properly the entire time, oh boy, we could have been looking at a very different lobby right now. But again, that's why you normally just want to initiate the cap, and then you can have your guys just like stand off the point and wait, just feather the percentage, sit around 20-30% until you're ready, and then you can step everybody onto the point. That's a much safer way of doing things. That's what we see EU players do a lot of the time, and we've seen that strategy employed on NA East as well. Normally, again, you do not want to wait that long, because exactly that, you're just playing into your opponent's hands. In this case, Velocity was ready for that exact strategy, and they were like, okay, well, we just keep them from capping the point, and that's exactly what they almost pulled off. Sadly, they're going to come up short on this one, as they do have a cap initiated, but it is just Tier expressing dominance, as they do look like they are the stronger between these two guilds. It's going to be Tier moving on to fight the winner of our next match, which is going to be Supple versus Dwagon. Arguably an even more hyped matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. We will see. I don't recall exactly where Dwagon ranked themselves within their alliance, but I can tell you they are a very strong guild, a guild that has come up quite a bit in recent weeks. Velocity having to fight Take Care later tonight. Is that right? After being knocked down to the loser bracket from this match?
Yep. And
that's going to be crazy too, Blue.
Yep, Take Care is going to have to fight Velocity now, as Velocity's Purple Chicken steps forward onto the point here and is not going to make it happen right now for his guild. But honestly, I'm going to give him Purple Chicken MVP on the side of, or Team Ace on the side of Velocity. That guy stopped so many caps that guy got so many caps for Velocity. Like, look at them. They're all... Zales is wailing on him, trying to stop him. Finally gets the stop off right there. But Purple Chicken just putting on a clinic for his front line there. The unsung hero of the match for Velocity. And sadly, it just won't be enough as his guild is just flat out weaker. Tier is going to move on. There's Crunk God, one of the old Cho Nation players that everybody knows so well, getting absolutely farmed. Digital will be happy about that one. Tombstone POV for him right there. 17 seconds left on the clock as we run out of time right now in this one. Velocity will move down to fight Take Care. And the winner, Tier, is going to move on to fight Supple or Dwagon. We're going to find out who next. Let's take a look. Who is at the top of our leaderboards in this lobby? It looks like for defeats, it's going to be AZN Princess for T4. You know that guy has the biggest dick in the lobby. 60 kills on the board. PRX at 55. Doo-Doo Dogwater at 55 kills as well. Tier dominating this leaderboard right now. Velocity, Roosfrig, Naito, Flux, and Emoic. All the way down there, the top killers on the side of Velocity. You look at the assists, it's Rarkar, the top of the assists there. Top damage of the lobby. First time in the tournament we have seen a Wand Dagger be at the top of the leaderboards for damage. 5 million damage done. Absolutely gapping the next closest person for Vert. And mods, we can get a shout out for Vert here. Tremendous performance in that fight right there. 4.2 million, the next closest. AZN Princess, or Princess rather, Rarkar, PRX, and Eternal rounding out the top 5 for Tier. Velocities, Animoic, Rhythm, and Moshi Moshi, the top 3. Daikon, Soup, and Flux coming in for them as well. It does look like damage taken. 2.6 million damage taken for Autumn right there. It looks like I will do it. My mods are all not paying attention. I'll get it. Don't worry, Vert, I've got you. Don't worry, Vert, I've got you. My mods are on union break. 2.2 million for Caraban. Phone's father, 2.1 million right there. Tier and Phobia is in at number 5, the top tank of the lobby for Tier. For Tier there. 35.2 million damage heal for Massive. Edmund, Green Velvet, Alpacal, Tiger Kyle, all rounding out the top 5 for Tier. Velocities, Viola, Chinny, Joshi, and Breezy, rounding out the top 5 for Velocity. Good fights to both teams, but it is ultimately Tier that comes up with it.
Yeah, indeed. I have to say, Blue, I did favor Tier in that match, but I was not expecting it to be that devastating. That was a crazy performance on the side of Tier. Velocity, I've said it before, I'll say it again, they are not a weak guild. One of the toughest wargame guilds that is out there right now. These guys are definitely geared. They're definitely doing their reps, but Tier just completely overwhelmed that fight. I thought they were going to win. I didn't think they were going to win by that much. That was crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy, but do you know what's crazier? The map that Dwagon and Supple have chosen. But we'll get into that in a moment. Let's take a look at the instant replay from that last match as we finally did manage to get a good one. Velocity catches Tier. Look at all of Tier's looking at 3 people right now. All Velocity has to do is hard engage them. But look how tentative they're back. We don't know if we want to go in. I don't know, boss. If we're all dead. Or on the back line right there. If Velocity had just pulled the trigger, they probably come up with a win in that engagement right there. But honestly, we're seeing that hesitation from Velocity after they started to lose that match. They just didn't have the confidence to step forward because that push could have been very Velocity favored there, Morlin.
Yeah, that's what happens when you're getting farmed for the entire match. When you finally do get that final rally, your members are just too passive. They don't have the confidence. We did see with that last minute surge able to take Talus last time around, but it doesn't look like Velocity was able to muster that in those last few seconds there.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to see Velocity. People say rip Velocity 24 to 25. Guys, we're going to see them play in a couple hours here. Like, what are we talking? They have to play again now. Now, let's talk about our next feature presentation, because this one's going to be a banger, guys. Supple versus Dwagon. Supple over here from the Stellarite server, the defending champions of the tournament. They won the Best in Guild T1 to show all of North America who was boss. And this is their A squad over here, rank 1 on their server. Best in Guild T1 finished, like I said, first. And they said, Tier, you can't dodge us in the tournament. Well, they better win this match, and they will fight Tier in the next round. I'll let you introduce Dwagon.
Dwagon over in the Snowburn Alliance, and they have placed themselves first within that alliance. If that is the case, then we are going to see a crazy fight here. Dwagon believes they are stronger than Flex. They believe they are stronger than Take Care. If that is the case, then this might be one of the only guilds in the tournament that even has a chance to knock out Supple, and that match is happening right now. For this chat PvP, let me zoom in so I can read this. Can't wait to run Cobra Kai's pockets again for the 5th time. Daddy Hailstorm won't be there to hold your hand, but maybe you can get loads to call for you like Android does. Blue, I don't know any of this lore. Maybe you do. No amounts of rats in our comms will save you from getting portal camped during the tournament. What cope will you tell your members when you lose this time? Go touch grass, you jobless bums who do nothing but sit on this game 24/7. Also, Jalen needs a wife. Please send waifus. You gotta give it to Dwagon. Most of the chat PvP has been kind of lazy. These guys really brought a little bit of a paragraph there, Blue.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did speak with Jalen's before the match. I did ask him specifically. He said he was seeking female companionship, female optional. So anyone out there that really is interested in being in an e-relationship, go ahead and hit him up. Maybe you can talk to Alec. He's been chopping trees for a while now. He might be able to come up with something on this one. If we look over toward our versus screen, the match is just about ready to go. The pick ban is crazy, guys. Dwagon won the coin toss. They chose to pick. Supple has banned Chernobog, Talus, Morokai, and Adentis. We are gonna see these two fight it out on Leviathan.
You love to see it, Blue. Hopefully both guilds have their shark transformations ready to go. Leviathan, one of the more peculiar maps that's in the rotation. You have several kind of goofy environmental hazards that are going to be in your way. Multiple different viable respawn points to get back. We will see. This is going to be a map that is going to have a lot of kill squad value. Supple has one of the best kill squads in all of NA East, and yet Dwagon did pick this map, so maybe they've got the firepower to counter that.
Yeah, again, I do want to emphasize that Dwagon was supposed to fight Supple Abyss in the last round of the tournament, but Supple pulled Supple Abyss from the tournament. And so the Dwagon ended up getting a bye, but now has to fight the Supple main squad. So I would consider that a dodge. Morlin is saying that, well, they had roster issues. It is what it is. You can't tell me you can't pull 48 people together in an alliance as active as them. So to me, it looks like a dodge, but you can't dodge Dwagon this time. We'll see here, though, as Supple puts in their A team against Dwagon. Okay, give me your prediction. Obviously, I think you're coming down on Supple's side since you're in the guild.
It's not just since I'm in the game. I mean, look, Supple Phoenix did wargame against Dwagon. It was close, but Dwagon did come out with the win. But if you look at the power difference between the main Supple guild, which we see here, and the second Supple guild, the main roster is really stacked, Blue. There's quite a difference. So if Dwagon was that close with the second Supple guild, I think they're going to struggle quite a bit with the main Supple guild.
Well, the audience seems to think this is more 50-50 with Dwagon at 54%. I'm gonna go with my boys. I'm gonna go with my boys over in Dwagon. I have been playing against these guys. They have been literally spreading my cheeks on Snowburn since Talandre came out. Now, they're not on Snowburn anymore, but these guys are absolute gamers over here, and I know Supple really well. But honestly, I don't really know who's going to win this. Remember, guys, Pachus and Sid are the Supple Cordy crossbows. Ferocian 10 bands are the two Dwagon crossbows. It is Leviathan, the map that we are going to right here. And I cannot believe the words coming out of my mouth. We are going, I'm already panning across to try to get over to the action as we have just started the match. Look at these beautiful, beautiful bones and the wonderful scenery that we see coming down here. It's Dwagon in the yellow, Supple in the red as we get a little bit closer to the stone. Show me the guilds. There they are, all flying onto the point. Holy moly, it's Dwagon grouped up first on the point, but a big kill feed for Supple right there. But it looks like Dwagon to Sukayo moving it back the other way. It's an all-out brawl on the point right now, Morlin.
Yeah, Dwagon getting a surprising kill feed in that opening engage there, but then just overwhelming response from Supple. Blue, I'm seeing 20 red names stacked on top of each other. It's definitely going to favor Supple in this first push. They have control of the ship. We're going to see how they decide to set this up. There are so many different strategies you can go with on this map. It's really, like I said, one of the more peculiar maps, but also can be pretty interesting depending on which strategy they take. Dwagon's going to have to come up with something interesting here because Supple is completely in control of the ship at the moment.
Yeah, honestly, Dwagon, though, understanding that the high grounds are very important, that there's multiple approaches here. You can see people getting pulled into the mud right here. And again, if you have a shark morph, interestingly enough, on this map, you actually swim way faster through the mud than if you don't have a shark morph equipped. So a little bit of an Easter egg nuggie right there if you didn't know before. And it does look like that Supple is clamping down control of the ship right now, asserting dominance over the top of Dwagon right now. Dwagon in a lot of trouble on the stairs, but honestly, Supple is really struggling to keep them all wiped off right now. As this yellow health bars pesky everywhere they go, there are just yellow health bars constantly around Shadow Lily on this high ground, on this Spellblade for Dwagon right now, firing down to the low ground, doing a lot of damage to those Supple members, but sadly, none of them actually going down as they have some of the best healers in the lobby down there. There we go, pulling them off that high ground is so important. If you take a look at the leaderboard, initially it's a little bit Supple favored, I would say. It looks like damage dealt though. Dwagon's Myth and Brockle barely managing to make it onto the leaderboards with 10 bans, and Bevik down there as well. Dwagon in a lot of trouble. Look at the healers. Eli, this is the guy that you get your healer builds from, guys. This is the guy that makes those guides on Questlog and on all the various websites. That's why you trust him. This guy knows what he's talking about. To currently the top healer of the lobby. There's Aralite. That's the shot caller for Dwagon right there. They're grouping up on the, looks like the top of the ship right now. Interestingly enough, he's dangerously close to getting pulled down to the low ground right now. You see the rest of his guild down on the low ground down there. Looks like he has to back off of the ship. I'm not sure that he can even get back up here. There's no verticality in Throne. And again, he has to run all the way up the side of the ship to try to fly down. Chain Me Daddy trying to stay out in front for his guild as well. Looks like Dwagon is backed off a little bit as they're preparing for a push here, Marlon.
The high ground is nice, but if you inch forward just a little bit here, you are very much in danger of getting chain hooked, as we just saw a few Dwagon members getting pulled in. They're trying to fly in and take this upper area. Honestly, I don't think it's the way to go. Much more advantageous to come up the other side of the ship where you can kind of sit on this double decker and try to impact the actual cap. Even if Dwagon is able to hold this high ground here, it is not in bounds for the objective. So once the objective comes live, everyone standing up here is not going to count towards it. So not only are you not counting towards the objective, but you're probably just going to get hooked off anyways. So I imagine we'll see Dwagon maybe try to set up here a couple more times or use the reinforce, but overall they're going to need to hold a different position if they want any chance of actually capping the stone once it becomes live.
Yeah, absolutely. Pasha's putting on a clinic so far in this fight. One of the corny crossbows for Supple, again, here to defend their titles as the strongest guild in Throne and Liberty T1. They are back with a vengeance in the T2 tournament here to try to represent for Talandre. Pasha's waiting. We have still not seen him spin. Finally, the spin comes down and we see him get exactly one kill. So not the most impactful spinner that we've seen. The stone is about to start up. 15 seconds on the clock. Let's take one more look at the leaderboards right now. Supple heavily favored all the way across the board right now. Dwagon getting their pockets run at the start of this map. They did pick this map, so clearly they had an idea in mind, and you see Aralite trying to do what he can, trying to group up on the bow of the ship up there. There's a lot of different Krelix. Gonna go ahead and cap this for Supple right here. Mulkin tries to stop him. Not gonna make it happen, though. It looks like they fully backed off now. And again, it looks like Dwagon kind of at a loss for what they need to do as they're flying in from all different directions, trying to find a way to approach this stone. Every time they run up these stairs, they just get pulled off by the tanks on the side of Supple, and then they get grouped up and absolutely killed every time. There's the pull-in right there. If you just wait on the low ground way too long, that's what's going to happen to you. Moreland, I hope that you have another strategy other than this approach right here, because this one is not it.
It's definitely not it, and you can see that Dwagon is struggling to even get the regroup going. I have Poopsie's perspective out here in the middle of nowhere, and I have to say, this guy is just built different. This is normally a Seeker player, Wand, Bow, but he has swapped recently to Wand Greatsword instead, and I'm routinely watching him. I don't even know if he has a static or what's going on. I'm watching this guy 1v10 out at the respawn. He's not getting a ton of kills, but he is doing a great job of just keeping a ton of Dwagon members busy as they literally a player named Respawn Camper now backs him up. These guys are going to get a tremendous amount of value, and this is what I was saying at the start of the match. This is a map where you can get tons of value with a good kill squad, and Supple main really knows how to run multiple different effective kill squads. Like we're seeing here, it doesn't even necessarily need to be a full static. You could just have a Paladin and a Scorpion out here causing trouble for 10 or 12 enemy players at a time. And what are you going to do? You either have to ignore them and you're likely to take a few deaths, or you have to commit the time to kill them, and Poopsie just doesn't die even when 10 people are hitting him.
Yeah, okay, so what class is Poopsie playing again?
Greatsword Wand.
What? He's playing Greatsword Wand. Now, I will say that that class is actually super sleeper. I believe the name of that class is Paladin. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But that class is actually super sleeper. I have seen that class overperform in probably 4 matches across worldwide. I've seen 4 of them. 4. Okay, of that class worldwide. And every time we see them, they are one of the highest tanks, one of the top performing tanks of the lobby. And they certainly have a decent amount of damage as well. So can create a massive amount of disruption. Clearly, Supple knows something about it that we do not on this one. Because again, yeah, very sleeper style class right there. Dawn trying to hang in there on the stone right now as Arlight did initiate a cap on the point, but now they're down under 1% as Supple climbs over 82%. Supple looking in a dominating performance, or to be in a dominating position here as they close the door on that Dwagon squad. 19-21, actually very close on the point right now. It looks like Dwagon's starting to overwhelm from this high ground as Ram and his static try to push their way up here and keep them from consistently regrouping right now, but there are a lot of Dwagon members trying to rally onto the stone right now to keep Supple from taking this. It is not just an easy takeaway. For Supple, it's taking them some time to work this percentage up. We're seeing Dwagon absolutely fight back.
Yeah, we're seeing Dwagon start to fight from the other side of the ship now, and I do think that is the better strategy. Like I mentioned, you can stand on kind of this middle deck here and count towards the objective, so you can get a bit of high ground while still playing the point. I did see a pretty decent Dwagon feed a moment ago as they took these upper decks, but then Supple eventually just reacted and pushed them completely off. Now it's just looking red up here on these upper platforms once again, but Dwagon is going to have to make some use out of the back of the ship. I don't think just rushing up the stairs over and over again is going to do it. I don't think that flying onto the top of the ship, the really slanted thing, I don't think that's going to work either. They're just going to get hooked off and they're not going to contribute to the point. So I like this push that they did on the back of the ship. I think that's probably the best option that they have going forward, but they're going to need to commit to it. It can't just be 1 or 2 statics or else Supple's just going to turn around and take it right back.
Yeah, Supple in a dominating position on the Rift, and they certainly have taken it away from their opponents now. Dwagon in a lot of trouble in this match. 10.5 minutes left to go, and they're struggling to find an engagement that works for them. Moist Pickle, an interesting name, standing on this high ground as a healer, waiting for something to happen here. Frosh, oh, it looks like he's they're getting Frosh ready to go in for this spin here. We'll see if they can't make something happen on the side of Dwagon right now, as it looks like they're trying to buff him up. It looks like Dwagon's preparing for a multi-pronged aggression push. I'm going to cover the cliff side over here, Moreland, if you want to cover the other boat side on that. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. We can see exactly how Supple is positioned in response to this. This looks like 2 statics on the side of Dwagon over here. And again, you see, well, Dwagon not on the bow of the ship. Flash Me Mommy landing down there. Oh, looks like Frosh is going to dive across now. Is the time that they have chosen. Frosh, oh no, lands in a really bad spot. Manages to get onto the boat though and plant his feet. Can he get a solid Cordy spin off? Oh no, spins early, gets flipped out of it. Frosh, that was not what you wanted to see right there for Dwagon. And that's exactly what I'm saying, is that the Supple members have the Cordy crossbows feuded, and they are waiting for them to come in just to immediately CC them. You have got to be patient if you're you're a Cordy crossbow user. I think he got a little bit impatient there, and that is the kiss of death. Either way, RLI does initiate a point cap for Dwagon, but I think it's just going to run out again here, Marlon.
Yeah, I think so. These Dwagon pushes are getting slightly better as the match goes on, Blue, but they don't seem to be improving as much as they need to. Now we only have 9 minutes left, and we're going to need to see some significant increase in whatever they're trying to do. They did, again, they went for the back of the ship, and I like that, but they're still not fully committing to it. They're almost doing like a split push where they have some people going up the stairs in front, some people going for the back of the boat. And in a situation like this, against a guild like Supple that is going to react and reposition very quickly, sometimes a split push is all you can do, but it just feels like there's never a full Dwagon regroup. I think part of that is because of the amount of hassle and harassment that those Supple kill squads are likely causing out at the respawns. But even when Dwagon makes these pushes, it just feels like they have half of Supple's numbers in every single fight.
Yeah, absolutely, Eli. Eli, the top healer of the lobby, the top healer of every lobby. And you can see how he's positioned down here, constantly keeping those healing stacks up on Supple. Supple does not like to lose. And you can see it here reflected. These guys lock in right now. Ipu on the high ground there, going to get wiped off down there. Not much for Eli to do at the moment as they're waiting for Dwagon to go ahead and push in here. And I'll take a look at where Dwagon actually is on the map. Looks like Bam and his static are on the low ground here, but they're getting mopped up right now. Where is the rest of Dwagon? There's Arlight. That's the shot caller right there, waiting for his static to arrive. The rest of them look like there's at least 2 or 3 statics on this left side for Dwagon right now. But the people, everybody trying to come up the stairs is having a very, very tough time of it, Marlon.
Supple being so efficient with these kill squads, Blue. I'm out here in the middle of nowhere again, and I can see why Dwagon is having such a hard time respawning. Normally, you would expect to see a full static camping a respawn, but in this case, I think Supple literally just has 3 people on Portal 1 and 3 people on Portal 2, and the comp is so interesting. It's a Scorpion, a Ravager, and Poopsie playing Paladin. So they've got a couple great swords, they've got the crossbow, and then they've got the Poopsie, who is one of the great swords, is also playing Wand. He's got enough heals and he's got Blood Devo, so he can keep Respawn Camper, the other Scorpion, alive, and he can keep his Ravager out here alive as well, AB. But for the most part, it's just like 3 of these guys fighting 5, 6, 10 Dwagon by themselves. Now Pix is in here as well, another Ravager player, but continually fighting outnumbered and continually kind of winning anyways.
Oh, 10 Bands is so sad right now. Oh my gosh, bro. He went in there. He was buffed up. They flew across. He got this Cordy spin down. There were like 10 Supple members that would have died to that spin probably, but he got flipped off the boat the moment that he started spinning. Unbelievably good presence and heads up decision making by the front line from Supple. They have these targets feuded. They are not going to let them succeed at anything, and that should show you just how dominant Supple actually is in this matchup, why they are a force to be reckoned with, why they're rank 1 in North America, and why they won the Best in Guild T1 tournament, Moreland.
Absolutely. And Blue, I think that there's some macro issues here with Dwagon. I'm continually seeing like 20 Dwagon players out here at Portal 1 spending a lot of time fighting 3 or 4 Supple. That is not going to work when you're pushing against a guild this strong. You have to at some point just ignore that kill squad, or you have to have a squad of your own that can take them down, because these guys, I mean, the 4v15 out here, there's a reason why we're seeing all of Dwagon's pushes look so light. It's because a third of their guild is out in the boonies fighting a couple Scorpions and a Paladin.
Oh my god, they're doing the Alamo strat. They're just gonna fly across and land. Supple actually outnumbered in this fight as they have too many people committed to the low ground. A couple get pushed off as well, but Izzy gets the first kill right there. 10 Bands gets a kill off as well, but everybody on the side of Dwagon gets pulled in, and absolutely Farn Poo is pulled back now to help them as well. It looked like that. Oh my gosh, that was such a bold push, and I gotta give it to Arlight. You gotta do what you gotta do. Sometimes you just YOLO it and see what happens. It could work, right? They have a lot of people out in the boonies. Maybe we can make it happen, but Supple with the poise to be ready for a push like that. Everyone lands on their head and they just say, no problem. Just breathe for a moment. Okay, now pull them in. Okay, let's start spinning. All right, make sure that we're healthy. Right, Krelix knew exactly what to do in that position and handled it very gracefully, wiping out most of Dwagon right there. I assume that it is Krelix shot calling.
Definitely going to be Krelix shot calling. We see him here in the lobby, and they definitely want to win this tournament. Krelix definitely wants to win this tournament. They won in T1. They want to win again in T2. These guys like being on top, so he's going to be the one calling, but he's going to be keeping his cool. I mean, in a scenario like this is a guy who's practiced every map, and they're feeling pretty confident against Dwagon right now. Dwagon can try to get some surges going here, but they're not going to cause Supple to panic. These guys just have way too many reps, way too many hours playing this game together. They're going to continue the strategy that's working, and unless Dwagon can really come up with something in his final few minutes here, then it's looking like Supple is going to be able to keep this pretty locked down.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to go out into the boonies and see if there's still spawn camping going on out here. Yep, Respawn Camper is still out here trying to interrupt the spawns in from Dwagon, but not doing such a great job at this moment right now. Look at this crossbow dagger doing what he can. He's stealthing, he's looking. These people are at half health. They are easy pickings for him. He's like, no, I don't want to hit that guy. Okay, this is the guy that I want to... Never mind, this guy is absolute garbage. Holy moly, what a terrible player. I'm just totally joking, of course, but like the moment I start spectating him, Morlin, he immediately dies. What a loser.
That is indeed the caster curse. You guys have to stay alive when we're trying to glaze you and make you look cool. It keeps happening match after match. Come on, guys. We're trying to highlight you here.
Yeah, we're trying to help you right now. Don't you? I feel like Adam Sandler, go to your home. Here we go. Kiwi Doc surely won't let me down. A healer right now, all out on their own. Now getting focused down by his team. Surely he will heal himself up and be safe right now as the rest of his team turns around right there and reinforces. There we go. F1. I am certainly a huge F1 fan. Here we go. An actual good crossbow dagger user on F1. Gonna take on the majority of Dwagon in the field right now, trying to disrupt the regroups, trying to knock down these statics on this side. There he goes. He picks up a good kill against Op right there. Now he sees another one. He can tracking him in stealth right there as he can see him. His monitor is in fact on right now as he's running through, doing a great job. I wonder who his favorite F1 team actually is, because he is sporting the Ferrari red right now, and honestly, just like the Ferrari members, dead and leaving his fans wanting more. As it were, at the end of it, Dwagon really struggling to regroup, but does manage to get a recap off on the stone. 15 people rallied strong on the stone for Dwagon, but it's just never enough.
No, it is indeed never enough. And I mean, it just goes to show, again, this was the map that Dwagon picked. You would expect that they had a specific strategy they wanted to play. You'd expect that they have practice on the map. But nonetheless, Supple showing dominance, not just in the guild v guild, not just in the individual player level, but also in the macro level, having exactly the 4 players that they wanted, camping respawn 1, not a full static, not too few, not too many, and being able to just dedicate the precise amount of resources to an objective so that you can win it. You know, Respawn Camper and those other guys definitely took their share of deaths during this, but the amount of disruption they cause, it doesn't really matter that much as Kill Squad if you do take a few extra deaths, because you're just going to spawn where you need to be anyways. Your objective literally is the respawn. So the amount of value that those guys were able to get, even without a full static, I think really just had a devastating snowball on Dwagon's ability to even get a full regroup going.
Yeah, and Poopsie demonstrating, if you love Paladin or non-traditional classes that you don't see very often, this is the guy you are cheering. This guy represents one of the top end guilds in North America, repping the Paladin on this one, and Supple will move on in the winner's bracket convincingly over the top of their opponents, just wiping through Dwagon right there. Dwagon will move down to the loser's bracket. It was a good fight. They put Supple Supple would win sometimes, Dwagon would almost win others. That's how I'm gonna phrase that. It looks like Boy, Skeezer, Zoomin, Zanto, and Gone, the top DPS of the lobby right there. And you see Crossbow Dagger, like I said before, definitely something to be watching out for, but a lot of Spear Daggers and Spellblades in the top for Supple right there. Dwagon at the top of the kill leaderboard with Boons on a Great Sword Dagger, and then Saki on a Spear Dagger there as well. You look at the assistance, Boy, once again. Look at the damage dealt, 3.7 million damage dealt for Boy. EID at 2.8 million. Gone at 2.49 million. Pro at 2.4. 10 bands coming in as the top one for Dwagon on that Cordy crossbow. 10 bands trying to round out that top 5 for his guild. You scroll down, you see the rest of Dwagon all the way down here. It's Saki, Tsukayo, Sukasayo, Mif, Brockle, and Boons, and then Frosh down here is the other Cordy representing Dwagon. Did their best. Damage taken, you see Peach at the top of the leaderboards for Dwagon right there. Pix almost taking it home for Supple, almost not letting them have the top of the leaderboards for this either. But 10 bands, Aralite, Bam, Esper also down here, and then Respawn Camper, we talked a lot about him. It's not every day, Morlin, that you see one of the top damage taken of the lobby be a crossbow dagger user. Interestingly enough, the amount healed looks like 21.1 million by Eli. Eli, this is why you follow this guy's builds right here, unless you don't have $3,000 laying around, in which case you could do his off build. The we'll call that the broke boy build. Lilo, number 2, DKP check, Random, and Senior Drake, the top healers of the lobby. Autix, and the second to top healer for the lobby for Dwagon. Good fights to both teams, but Supple asserting dominance.
Yeah, very dominant. And again, just like the previous match, Blue, you know, I went into that definitely favoring Supple, but that was an overwhelming display of dominance. I think they looked really strong there. Dwagon, not an easy guild to take out. We're going to see them go down to the loser bracket now and have some pretty tough fights ahead of them as well. The loser bracket actually starting to heat up. There's some really strong guilds falling down there. But one thing that really stood out to me in this match, looking at the leaderboards, Blue, is just how low the damage is overall. Only one player above 3 million damage and only like 5 players above 2 million damage. Just the overall amount of damage there. I wonder if it had to do with some of the respawn camping or something, because what do you think it is that caused the damage to be like 30% lower than what we're used to seeing in some of these other matches? Just too much time regrouping?
No, I think it's just good players that are not trying to necessarily pad their stats as much as they are trying to win the match. If you're constantly focused at trying to win the match, you're actually holding cooldowns. If you're trying to pad your stats, you're literally just using your abilities basically off cooldown to try to pad as much damage as possible, right? But if you're trying to win the match, you are waiting. And you can see there were a lot of breaks between engagements, constantly Dwagon trying to back up, regroup, and engage as a unit. That's obviously going to decrease the overall amount of damage done. Let's take a look at why Dwagon lost that last match, because I caught an instant replay of one of their Cordies here. You can see 10 bands, the top DPS and kills of the lobby on behalf of Dwagon. You can see him getting buffed up as they try to fly across, and he gets ready for a big corny spin. Look how many Supple members are in range of this corny spin. He goes, there's the pull, there's the spin, and he immediately gets flipped off the boat right there. That is the poise that you saw on the side of Supple. That is why that guild is just that good. They waited for that moment. They waited for him to start using that corny spin and then flipped him right off the boat. They were ready for it, Moreland.
Absolutely. These guys know who the priority targets are, and we've called it out in other matches. You know who the dangerous players are. You know who you should be focusing. But like you said, in a lot of these cases, guilds are more concerned with just padding stats and whoever's hitting whoever is closest to them. But that's not going to be the case with Supple. They know exactly who they should be prioritizing and how they are going to do it. When they see a Cordy spinner flying in, Krelix is going to call that out. And even if he doesn't, people are going to call it out in their statics. They're just not going to let that happen for free.
Absolutely. Good fights to both guilds. We will see both of them moving forward in this tournament. We're headed to another banger, Moreland. Are you ready? Are you tired of winning yet? As the spectators are just winning today. The spectators are just winning. No matter what happens in the match, we're winning. And I'm not tired of winning yet. Let's take a look at Hallowing versus Flex. Hallowing from the Ivory server, rank 1 in their alliance with Tier, Exodus, and Corrupt. Rank 1 on their server overall with 4 siege wins. They says Supple is butt cheeks. I agree. Suck Fupple.
Well, on the other side, we have Flex from the Snowburn Alliance placing themselves third within the alliance, and I'm not so sure about that. I think that this is the last guild from the Snowburn Alliance that has not taken a loss yet in this tournament, Blue. So if they are able to show up against Helloing here, they might be able to still rep for that alliance. Otherwise, pretty much all of the Snowburn guilds are being knocked down to the loser bracket today by Ivory guilds or by Supple. Their alliance strength on the server over there on Snowburn obviously going to be first. Their T1 finish going to be top 8, lost to Press W, which I think was the third place guild. Sieges won, they have 11 and 1 there. So a lot of success over on the Snowburn server, but now that they're fighting against Supple and now that they're fighting against Ivory guilds, their alliance has been struggling, and we're going to have to see if Flex is going to struggle here too.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Based on what I saw in the previous matches, I'm going with Halloween here. I like the Flex boys. I think they're great in everything, boys and girls, if you will. But I think that Halloween, people count this guild out. People do, these guys are massively underrated. I've played against these guys, and I had a really competitive guild. These guys do not mess around. Keep in mind, they lost 15 of their members to Take Care, and then dumpstered Take Care out of the winners bracket. Imagine if they still had those members. These guys are on titans of industry, pushing through the winners bracket here. I think that they're personally favored in this match. Real quickly though, let's take a look at pick ban. Marlon, I'll let you cover it this time.
So it looks like Flex won, and that means Helloing is going to do the bans. They banned Talus, Paquilo, Manticus, and Kawazan, which is interesting. I would have thought they wanted to fight there. But Flex with the pick decides to take us to the dentist.
We're going to a dentist. Stop, you're confusing people. No, that is not what you said. You said we're going to the dentist. You're gonna scare people away. All right, let's take a look. Let's take a look at the compositions. 10 against 10 daggers. SNSs are 20 to 21, 15 to 16 great swords. It looks like staffs, you're looking at 4 to 6, very close there. Bows 16 to 17. Crossbows 4, interestingly enough, on Halloween's side, but only 2 on Flex's side. 20 wands against 19, and then 5 spears against 7. The compositions we're seeing start to kind of normalize across pretty much all of these guilds. Who's your favorite going into this one?
I think I've got to give it to Helloing here. I mean, despite having to rebuild from some of those splits and merges that they suffered from in recent weeks, I think they have come back crazy strong. They've shown in their previous matches so far just how dominant they can be, and I think we're going to see another example of that right now.
Yeah, a dentist, certainly a map that can catch people that are stuck in a T1 meta off guard. We see people prioritizing the high grounds just way too much in this map, and then they can just get pulled right down, and that is the problem. Look at the battle already breaking out on the high ground. The kill feed is really back and forth. If you're colorblind, you don't know who's winning. But I'll be honest with you, for the rest of us, people that aren't colorblind, that's looking awful yellow, Moreland.
That is looking very yellow, and we can see some similar names from the previous match. Kirkland up there, D-Slime up there, some of the typical Helloing top fraggers. We're going to see them doing everything they can to get on the top of the leaderboards once again. Again, this is another ego guild. They want to be on top. They want to be the person who's getting shouted out at the end of the match. Ari, one of the most effective Cordy players in the entire world right now, one of the Helloing Cordys. If we keep an eye on him, he's likely going to be farming the entire game. Flex starting to make a little bit of something happen here. It looked for a second there like they were getting a feed, Super Saiyan Andy, but then he is just dead 2 kills later, and it goes right back to being yellow again.
Yeah, a little rough. Snowburn as a server, not having the best day so far. Take Care in the losers bracket, winning out. So there's a W, and we're gonna see them fight later. Surely they can't lose twice, right? Like, there's no way they get knocked out as well. But Snowbird having a rough time of it today. If you're representing that server, Hellowing in a dominant position over the top of Flex right now. Flex doing what they can. Here's Nell in the middle of everyone on this Cordy crossbow, wondering what they've got to do to make something happen. He's sitting here waiting, trying to get buffed up, looks for the pull. Not gonna find it happen. quite yet, but being very patient. You like to see this with your Cordies and all the carnage around him. He's being very patient, waiting for his opportune moment to shine. We should see a pull. Oh my goodness, he gets pulled. Oh, catches a heal from his healer, so he's going to be okay here. We'll see if he tries to go for a corny spin right now. He's in the middle of everything. It would be a good spin, but oh my gosh. Hallowing just says, no, you've waited too long, and down he goes on that one. Just gets Baja blasted, as I like to say, in the middle of everything right there, Marlon.
I'm watching Kirkland now at the edge of the fight, one of the most devastating crossbow players currently on the side of Hallowing, just being annoying as usual out here. They want to do something about it. The great swords are hunting him. They want to stun him. They want to knock him down. They get his health low, and it looks like he's going to go down, but he just doesn't. And this is one of those players who knows how to play just around the edge of the fight to get a lot of damage. You feel like you can kill him. You feel like you can stun him, but then that healer always just saves him at the last second. Such a slippery player, and likely to be at the top of the leaderboard to the end. Look at that. Again, 5% health back to full.
Yeah, oh my gosh, I was watching Wanhita, which is a fun word to say if you've never tried it before. Just say it at home with me right now. Wanhita. It's fun. It's a good time. That being said, Wanhita is not having a great time in this match right now as they keep getting pulled down. You see Miku up on this high ground. Okay, we're finally getting a chance to fire. Here we go. And there's Slayer, rather, right in on everybody, just not letting people fire from this high ground right here. Slayer actually might get pushed off. Apes together strong, as it were. All of the DPS turn around, and who's actually sitting on the casting couch really here? It's gonna be Slayer, sitting on the couch with a bunch of people standing behind him, but Hallowing is not having any of that as they pull all of those people behind the couch to actually sit on the couch now instead. Interestingly enough, they are all dead now, getting pulled down to the low ground down there. Ivy running into the middle of everyone, trying to regroup with Hallowing right now. Is Hallowing 50 seconds on the clock. We look at this defeats. Okie dokie. The first flex member in at number 15th, it is Nell down here, followed by Super Saiyan Andy, Yanis, Monster Dota, Sneaky Bonk, and Coffee Jelly down here. Damage dealt, Super Saiyan Andy, and Glistening trying to keep up with Park JJ and Ari putting on a bit of a clinic for Hallowing right here. 8.7 million for Jukes. Cammy at 5 million. 8.4 here for Ariana. Flex trying to keep up with their healers, but they're certainly having a much tougher time. 20 seconds before the stone opens up. And I'll be honest with you, BDOing is the only member. This is what I was saying before. You see the good members, or good guilds, not try to overcommit onto the stone right now. As you see, only one member of Hallowing backs up. The rest of them are trying to hold in position over here as they all try to push through. It does look like the rest of Hallowing is going to try to concede the high ground as they're going to go for the cap on the point. After all here, they're going to concede high ground advantage right there. And look at that. Here they come flying down now from Flex. Are going to come down to the low ground. And again, we're seeing some people, Necro, trying to fire from this high ground, but you're just going to get pulled right down. There's Slayer once again. We see this guy constantly being a menace to the high ground players up there. Does manage to get pushed off right there as Miku firing from the high ground as well. No one has been able to interact with the stone yet, interestingly enough, Marlon.
Yeah, I wonder if they're even trying to interact. I'm not seeing a whole lot of caps go off. Look, I'm starting to see a channel now, but we might see a bit of what we saw Tyr do on Talus, where they kind of just hung out and waited a little bit. Again, in a scenario like this where it's so one-sided, I don't think it's really worth the risk to do that. We saw how Tyr almost threw, getting shoved off the stone when there was only 6 minutes left. But so far, Hallowing not making a huge effort to go for the cap. It seems like they're content to kind of just hang out here and farm for a little while.
Yeah. I think that they are content to just sit here and farm. They are comfortably looking like they're going to move on to the next stage of this bracket as Flex is in a whole lot of trouble. Roach Wrangler going to try to interact with the point right now, but BDOing is right there next to him. You see BDOing hovering. No, he's going to let him have it. Interestingly enough, they are going to take it. Now 16 people on the point, but I just don't think, based on how the kill feed's going, man, they're really struggling to get out here, Borland.
They are really struggling, and man, I have to say, these snowburn guilds, I did not expect them to get cleaned up quite like this today, Blue. I was looking at these lineups and thinking, oh man, these guilds have been scrimming for a while. I've seen some of these guilds fight. They look really equal in power. People are trying new things. It could go either way, but this is 4 fights in a row now of Ivory versus Snowburn, where the Ivory guild has pretty overwhelmingly come out on top. This is the second time now. I think Helloing was the guild that knocked out Take Care, and it was pretty decisive there too. I would have expected both these guilds to be able to at least keep Helloing on their toes, but this looks pretty free for them at the moment.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. It's a bit of a hot dog in a hallway situation for the Snowburn enjoyers today. If you catch my drift, because they are getting blasted. Yanis picks up a few more kills on the side of Flex as Flex starts to rally onto the stone from the other side here, glistening on this high ground. But immediately, look how quickly the Hellowing squad is able to lock down anyone that gets up to the high ground. And that's the problem with a Dentist, is if you're trying to play it like we used to see a Dentist played, you're going to try to keep people on high grounds like we saw in T1. But in T2, you can just get pulled down. You can get locked down so quickly. Look at Slayer. Knocks him. He says, get off the high ground, you loser. And just blows him away on the high ground right now. And you can see Slayer sees a couple more people on the high ground. He's going to die, and he'll come back the other way now. What is this? Finker Stats? What an interesting name. Finker Stats, firing from the high ground on this Spellblade right here. And again, Hellowing, anytime anyone steps up a little bit close, it's just pulling people to the low ground or locking them down with a greatsword. And they're just not going to let them do that. Coffee Jelly on this low ground on the Templar. Oh my gosh. Where did his health go? Hellowing clearly understands builds at a level that I think the other guilds just don't yet.
I'm watching Finker up on this roof still, Blue, and he's managed to not get hooked. I think he's kind of limit testing with where he can actually stand to be outside of that chain hook distance. Maybe he's onto something here. I'm seeing some of his other flex players with staffs try to do the same thing. They're all kind of grouped up on the backside of this building, staying just outside of hook range or just outside of that line of sight, perhaps. Looks like he got hit by a hook there, but was still able to keep his feet on the building. And there it goes. So the limit has been found. He was making it work for a little while, but eventually, even if you hang back, it looks like you are just going to get yanked off that roof.
Yeah, that's the problem. You're so limited trying to play on that high ground. You're kind of forced to come to the low ground, although Necro has done a pretty good job of positioning to this point. Anytime he's watching the tanks on the side of Hellowing, and anytime one of them steps near him, he kind of steps back and tries to adjust. See, he step back right there one more time because he sees Shield walking over. He keeps putting down a good amount. Ooh, attempted pull. And he knows, you see Necro playing with fire on the left side of your screen right now. Does not want to get pulled to the low ground. But that's the difference between a good DPS and a bad DPS, is knowing exactly how close to the limit you can get without pushing it over the edge. It does look like that Hellowing did manage to take it. And they went ahead and just said, okay, screw it. We're going to take the stone. They have control of it. Does look like that Flex came back and now have 25, 28, 29 people on the point and are starting to climb in percentage. But Super Saiyan Anna gets another kill feed. Glistening gets a kill as well, as they start to battle back a little bit right now.
Yeah, I'm watching the Flex Cordy, and he's not doing too bad. He's definitely getting focused a bit, but not as much as I would expect. I would think that at this point, standing right on the cap like this, a lot of Hellowing members would be noticing this guy and shutting him down. And there, he finally goes down. Caster Curse strikes once again. But honestly, I'm surprised how long it takes. I mean, that was some really aggressive positioning there from the Flex Cordy, and he was able to hang out for multiple spins there before they finally brought him down. It's possible that Hellowing just hasn't quite dialed in on who Flex's Cordies are yet, but yeah, I am surprised he was able to do that. If they could organize a little bit better, I mean, it's not doing too bad. He's able to get some triple, quadruple kills against Hellowing, which is a really hard guild to get a quadruple kill against, but it looks like maybe they're starting to notice him now, or just the entire field has turned so yellow that it doesn't really matter. You just can't be here alone.
Yeah, Ari, I'm watching Ari on the low ground right now. This guy's been putting on a clinic with his Cordy crossbow here. Gets relatively low, but stands and blocks, trusts his healer to get himself healed back up, stands his ground. And again, it looks like Hellowing's going to take over that point. He sees his opportunity here. We'll see if he goes in for a big spin. There's the spin right there. Not going to actually come up with anything as he goes down on that one. Good kill feed on the side of Flex, as it looked like they were on top of that particular engagement right there. So Hellowing definitely showing a little bit of a break in the armor here and there against this strong Flex squad, but I'm not sure that it's going to be enough.
Yeah, I'm watching Dabbledoya now, and you always love to see when there are still Liberators playing the same build as T1 this late into T2. But if we look at the scoreboard at the end of this match, I suspect we will see why he is still allowed to play this class. You would wonder if maybe dropping the bow and picking up a dagger would be more value, but this is his comfort zone. I think there's still some survivability that comes with the bow that perhaps he likes, because he is able to position pretty aggressively here and get some good value. Most of the Hellowing damage players by now probably have rolled onto Spellblade or something else, but Dabble still rocking Liberator, and I suspect at the end of this match he's going to have some crazy numbers despite playing a class that many would consider to be kind of old meta.
Yep, it looks like Flex has decided to regroup to various spawn locations here as they see all their statics converging on the point at the same time. BDOing wastes no time looking for an engagement right there. And it looks like Flex is going to approach from all three sides all at once to try to make something happen, anything happen on this point. They do manage to get a fair amount of people down. And there's the corny spin going off as well. But sadly, I'm not sure it's going to be enough. Looks like they are going to get the cap engaged, at least on this one. But Hellowing just look like Terminators. They just don't die, Morlin.
Yeah, they are really hard to take down. I mean, they're just too good at playing with those statics and calling out buffs. That was an excellent surge from Flex. You saw him hitting in all directions. You would have thought that Hellowing was getting pinched there, but the kill feed still just moving so slow here. And then after moving slow for 30 seconds, the buffs wear off, and suddenly those Hellowing kills start to just flood back in.
Yeah, absolutely. BDOing doing a great job, basically right around causing disruption on the side of Hellowing over here. There's Throne. What a great name to get. Just Throne with no characters or anything. What an absolute unit over here. As Asa on the side of Hellowing doing a good job of healing on the outside of the fight. Flex really struggling to get in on this with 6 minutes left to go right now. Hellowing just feels confident. They just stand on the point consistently. Here's Spark JT, one of the top DPS of the lobby. If you can see him in the middle of everything, rejoining the fight right here. We'll see if we can't make anything happen. And again, this is a Spellblade keeping to the low ground here, and that should tell you just how crazy changed this meta actually is from T1. As you see the Spellblades basically all just standing on the point with everyone else, that Staff Dagger, although they are quite squishy, you're just abusing the fact anytime someone focuses you, you go into stealth, you trust your healer, and you just keep cranking out this DPS, Morlin.
I've got Anna Chaya's perspective now, one of the Hellowing Shadow Dancers. A little bit of lore about this player. We were guildies back in the Bricked days, and Brick's first and I think possibly only Cordy crossbow drop that we got early in T2 went to this player. The very next fight, expecting to see some huge results, Anna rerolled to Shadow Dancer, left the Cordy in the bank, and decided to just be a spear player now. So in theory, that Cordy is still sitting in storage somewhere, but Anna deciding to just go with the Shadow Dancer. And I mean, he's a pretty insane player, so he's putting up the numbers anyways, but a funny little tidbit there from the past.
Yeah, absolutely. What an absolute goofball right here. Slayer, once again, locking players down in the corner. Oh my gosh. Who is hunting who? That's happened to Slayer a few times in this lobby so far. If we want to take a look at the leaderboard one more time, 4.5 minutes left to go on the clock. Time is running out for this Flex team. Holy Hellowing right here. Oh my gosh. Yeah, okay, so the top Flex member is Giannis, and then Nell all the way down here at 15 and 16. The two Cordys down at number 20 is Monster Dota. No, wait. Monster Dota on the SNS wand is the top. He's got the Tevit wand on. What an absolute Giga Chad. Monster Dota on the SNS wand, trying to lead the leaderboards for Flex over there. Damage dealt, obviously, going the way of Hellowing here, but Flex members trying to keep up, and you can see again healing over here, once again in favor of Hellowing. Ariana definitely doing their best to try to keep up here, though.
Yeah, and the Templar is just so strong. Even playing from behind in a situation like this, you can see how much value you can get out of that Tevit wand, especially when combined with the SNS. Although I do wonder if Vert was onto something earlier, bringing back the wand dagger combo instead. I wonder if some Templars will start to make that shift now that they can see the kind of damage that you can put up. But honestly, I don't even know if it's necessary. Templar still puts up such impressive stats, both in damage and in kills, that you might as well stick to the SNS in many of these scenarios, because it's still just such a high impact DPS class while being really hard to kill or deal with in any way.
When you say hard to kill, it was almost ironic that Perry got literally one shot the moment you said they're just so hard to kill. Kabam! As he just gets absolutely blown away down there, and you do sacrifice a fair amount of your tankiness if you're going to try to go for the DPS route and Templar. But it shows you one of the strengths of Throne of Liberty is the fact that you can basically you can use any class for almost anything. Templar does not have to be a frontline tank class, and oftentimes in the T2 meta we see it be a DPS class, like in that case right there. Perry back on the point. I'll try to spectate him, try to make him look good one more time here as he's on this low ground, and Flex is doing what they can, but only 2 minutes left on the clock, and Perry is dead again. Wait, no, he's good. It's all right. He took one skill. He dropped to 1% health. He's good now. He wore his brown pants today, Moreland.
Well, if we want to see a Templar who is indeed very hard to kill, I've had to fight against this guy in the past, and I can confirm that he is impossible to take down. I've got Shield from Hellowing, previously playing Steelheart, but now playing Templar. But regardless of which weapon this guy decides to pair with his SNS, he always figures out a way to do insane amounts of damage while also being tanky. We can see him getting bursted there a little bit, but I mean, 27, 28k base health without any of his extra HP buffs running, a pretty good buffer to use even as a DPS. His health dropping there and his healer not picking him up, so Caster Curse does strike again. It's crazy how I'm just predicting deaths over and over again tonight with every person I try to highlight, Blue.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. If you ever find a critical member for a team that you did not bet for, you can just lock onto them. They'll be dead within the next 10 seconds. The moment that you open your mouth, that's just how it works. And I think that a lot of what has pertained, or a lot of what has helped Hellowing's success so far, is the fact that their control of these high grounds has been nothing short of immaculate. The Flex squad has tried to abuse these high grounds multiple times, and every single time we either see a great sword dagger come up and knock them off, or we immediately see them start to take damage. You see Coffee Jelly, this is a Templar up here doing what they bam, and good night. That's what I said, nothing short of immaculate performance, keeping people from firing on that high ground, whether they're getting pulled down, locked down by a greatsword, or a staff notices them and knocks, or a spellblade notices them and knocks them off that high ground. Hellowing's control of the match has been absolutely top shelf, if I must say so myself. 20 seconds left on the clock. Flex will be moving down to the losers bracket in this one. 10 seconds left to go. People trying to get as many kills as they possibly can. Flex not going to say never going to say never, goes for another cap, gets interrupted one last time. As time runs down here, Hellowing is going to move on, and I believe they're fighting Tyr in the next round, which, oh boy, Anarchy at the top of the kills for Hellowing. Anachaya and Defiant and Ori, the top 4 in the lobby. 2 Cordy crossbows, a spear dagger, and a gladiator with a great sword spear there. It looks like that Flex's Yanis, their top Cordy crossbow in the lobby. Nell coming in at number 2 for Flex here, and then Monster Dota and Sneaky Bonk coming in at 4 and 5. Damage dealt, it looks like assists again. Hellowing very favored. Park JJ coming up big there. 6.1 million damage dealt for Flex here. Giannis, ironically enough, still having the most damage in the lobby on the Cordy, despite having his team lose. 5.8 million for Park JJ and Vanguard Super Saiyan Andy, and at 4.8 million, the next highest right there on that Spellblade. Damage taken looks like top tank of the lobby was Red, followed by FEQ in Hellowing and Meteor and Daijin, and then 13 down there. Again, all of those Crusaders. Normally we see a healer or two on the tank leaderboards. Jukes, Cammy, Ariana, and Light G, Light Ice. The top healers of the lobby, Mana Burn, Xyluda, and Calamita. Oh man, I should have sounded out. Boy, I'm having trouble with it today. But some of these names, man, they just trip me up, Marlon.
Yes, indeed. And I mean, I think if we look at the Templar numbers in that match, they're never gonna, well, maybe not never, but they're often not gonna be in the top 5, but they're always pretty close. It is just such a high value, high impact class. I think we're gonna see, as we get into these final matches, more and more Templars. It's not something that we necessarily saw in some of the earlier matches with some of the guilds that are not quite as strong, but I do think that the top tier guilds right now do understand the value of having at least a handful of key Templar players that can just go in there and bomb. It's a great way of shutting down enemy healers. It's a great way of just shutting down key enemy players in general. And I think we're going to start to see more and more Templars show up as we proceed towards the finals.
It looks like our next match of the day is going to be Take Care versus Velocity. As I said before, let's take a look at those two cards. I'll let you introduce these guilds here.
Yeah, so we have seen these guilds fight multiple times in the tournament so far. I think we've seen them both fight earlier today, in fact. Take Care ranking as first within the Snowburn Alliance. Velocity is one of their allies. You can bet that these guys have scrimmed many times in the past. Take Care is placing themselves first, Velocity placing themselves second. So these guilds are going to be very close in power. If you look at their finishes from the T1 tournament, we have Take Care in second and we have Velocity in third. Some of those Velocity members, I believe, coming from Press W. Take Care's prediction is top 3, and at this point from the losers bracket, if they want to get in top 3, they pretty much have to sweep the rest of the matches ahead of them. Velocity predicting 3rd through 6th, but if they get knocked out by Take Care here, I don't think they will quite come up in 6th place. They're going to be down in like 10th or something like that, so we will see if they are able to hold on. These are two allies that are fighting against each other, and whoever loses does not get to continue in the tournament. This is going to be a knockout match, so the first and the second strongest guilds from that Snowburn Alliance, we'll see if it is in fact Take Care first, Velocity second. I bet you Velocity does not want to get knocked out here, so maybe they will come up with something. Take Care with the castle advantage, going to give them a slight edge over Velocity, but I would not count Velocity out yet. We have seen a great performance from them so far, and again, they probably have played against TC a bunch, scrimming in-house. They're going to know what to expect. They're going to have some kind of strategy here.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look over at pick ban, which it looks like Take Care won the coin toss. They chose to pick Velocity ban. It does look like they banned Leviathan, Chernobog, Pakalo, and Kawazan, interestingly enough. And we are going to Grand Alon for the second time in NA East.
Yeah, not a map we have seen a lot of. One of the Grand Alon fights that we saw earlier, I think, was a gentleman's agreement where it was only like a 12v12 or something like that. So I think this is the first time we're going to see a full-blown 48 versus 48 on this map, and it is a pretty crunchy little arena. So going to get a lot of value on those Cordy spins here. If we take a look at the team matchups, a lot of the rosters are looking similar, but Velocity is running significantly more spears. They've got 9 spears. Take Care running only 5. On a map like this, it does seem like spear is going to have good value, but the team that has fewer spears is the one who chose this map. So be interesting to see if that works out. Only 3 staffs on the side of Velocity. I think that's the lowest we've seen this entire tournament.
Yeah, honestly, interestingly enough, 3 staffs is really low, but only 5 on the other side for Take Care. As he got 18 versus 17 wands. Everything else looks relatively close within 1, pretty much all the way across the board almost. Except for daggers, there are 15 daggers in Take Care and only 13 on the other side for Velocity. It does look like that the lobby is just about ready to go. We're waiting on 1 crash here. Who is your prediction for this one? Because I think that Take Care should have the edge, but I don't know, man. Velocity has shown some spunk in this tournament.
Velocity has definitely gotten a lot stronger recently, and Take Care, I mean, I don't know. Historically, they were just such a strong guild, but at the same time, seeing that fight that they had earlier with Helloing was a lot more one-sided than I expected it to be. I would think that they have rallied at this point, watched the VODs, corrected whatever mistakes they have, and so they should be able to come away with this. If not, then I think we're really seeing the fall of what was once one of the strongest guilds in all of NA East. So hopefully that's not the case. I think we're going to see a good performance from Take Care here, but I mean, they kind of have to at this point. This is the last chance for both of these guilds.
Yep, absolutely. Let's take a look over here let's look. Oh, the match is ready to go. I'm just gonna give them the go. We have Take Care versus Velocity, 2 of the top end guilds in North America East, clashing on Grand Alon of all maps. So you normally do not see Grand Alon chosen all that frequently here. So we're gonna see what strategies they manage to pull down on behalf of their guild here. As I make my way over to the gazebo, you see the wonderful you spawn in Narnia as a spectator on this map, but that's okay. I'm gonna get over to the stone. There we go. We finally see Take Care in the red right there. We see Autumn running up on behalf of Velocity right behind him right there. Tom as well, just gonna go ahead and get taken down. Actually, Take Care getting killed right now. It does look like Velocity is taking out the stragglers on behalf of Take Care. Now they're working their way toward the stone here. Ooh, my goodness. You see Zank and his static trying to position up on this side for a big flank right there. And now we see Velocity in a tough position on the low ground as their tanks try to dive to the high ground. The DPS are right behind them. They're gonna try to get through onto the stone, Marlon. I'm not sure though, as they waited a little bit long to get out here.
It's interesting. You could see that perhaps some of these members are not super familiar with the map. I mean, it's not one of the ones that's more highly chosen, but Velocity trying to enter from many different directions there. Perhaps that was part of the plan. They are able to get a few of their members up top and get some kills, but Take Care with the overwhelming majority of kills on the actual platform. There's several fights happening out in the field as well, though. This is really chaotic right now, Blue. You've got the main fight up on the platform, but people are kind of struggling to get in there, getting stuck on the rocks down below, and there's a big brawl of just respawns and kill squads happening a screen away from the objective. Unclear if this is intentional, trying to hold each other up, or if this is just kind of the organic breakout of people trying to respawn and come back. But we are seeing a bunch of small skirmishes, not just here and not just on the platform, but on the other side of these trees as well. The fight is kind of all over the place right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It does look like the purple chicken is once again standing on the point for Velocity. What an absolute goat. Consistently here to try to get this point ready, and there's still 3 minutes before the point can actually be taken. It does look like the Take Care is in a better position, standing on the rift stone proper, but we are seeing a lot of yellow health bars flood onto the point right here, as again from all directions. I'm trying to get in a better position as a spectator. There we go. You see Velocity flooding in from all directions, but it is a solid red kill feed, and like you said, there is action all over the map. So again, just trying to get in position outside and trying to work their way in, but Velocity's having a tough time today.
Yeah, I'm watching. It looks like both guilds are continuing to spawn on respawn 3, but it is a bit of a hike to get from spawn 3 into the objective, which means all of their fresh spawn shields are going to wear off, and they're going to have to take this fight. Take Care with the advantageous position on the stone, but that means that they don't have as many people respawning. So when it comes to the respawn fight, if they're going to keep respawning with Velocity, then Velocity is just going to pick off those extra Take Care members. If that happens for too long, Take Care starts to get split. So we'll see if TC decides to pick a different respawn, because right now the people that they do have spawning out here are kind of just getting picked off over and over again.
Yeah, absolutely. They're just getting absolutely Baja blasted, as I like to say. A minute and a half left on the clock. Let's take a look at the leaderboards right now, as it does look like that Sample, Glenn, Ashy B, and Markelov and Holy Blonde at the top of the kill feed right there. Velocity, Roseferg, and Azo doing their best to try to keep up on the leaderboards here. Damage dealt, Glenn, Holy Blonde, Sample, and Markelov, and Rhythm at the top here. Rhythm once again doing great damage on behalf of Velocity, showing up in both matches that we've seen him in today. Damage taken very heavily, Velocity favored. Amount heal, look at those take care healers. Wuru, Hooray, Sea Turtle, Weeks, all doing a great job for take care right there. If you look down at the Velocity members, Preezy, Joshi, and Viola doing their best right now to try to keep up in healing. But honestly, when you're running behind as a guild, it can be very hard to position correctly as a healer.
Yeah, especially on a map like this, there's so much line of sight. You've got these pillars in the way, you've got rocks in the way, different cliffs and things like that. As a healer, it can be pretty tough to be standing where you need to stand. Especially if your group is not super good at being in the same position, if they are taking multiple paths up into this archway or anything like that, you're just not going to be able to reach all of them. You're going to have to really prioritize on who you want to heal. And it does look like Velocity is making another split push. They have a couple statics going back to this grapple on the other side, while the rest of the guild continues to kind of climb on that rock in front. That rock really giving them a hard time. I don't know if they're going to be able to break through that. It does look like Velocity is able to get up pretty easily with the grapple and kind of hold it, but they are going to have members hitting this from both sides if they really want to make an impact. I think that Take Care is using that high ground advantage on the other side of the fight, and it can be difficult as a shot caller here too to exactly know what to react to, because you can't get a good feel of the entire fight at the same time. You're going to have people kind of calling out what's happening on the other side of the arena, on the other side of these pillars, just because there are so many obstacles in your way. It looks like Velocity has been cleared off of this grapple now. They were not able to maintain that, but I think if they continue to push this back entrance here and the other side, the other rock at the same time, they could get something going. The kill feed is not that bad. They're just going to have to coordinate that pressure from both directions a little bit tighter.
Yeah, absolutely. Autumn actually going to initiate the first cap of the point. Oh, wait, no, it is going to be Take Care introducing it, like getting the first cap on the point. I thought Autumn was interacting with it there, but it's Purple Chicken gets shoved off now as again the battle rages on all sides of the Grand Alon Riftstone in this one. Doing their absolute best is Velocity. Trying not to get rocked. Rocked is a good word for it, but rocked out of the tournament 2 matches in a row in one game or one day here. Just kind of a hard day if you're a Velocity fan, but they showed up and they are doing their best on Grand Alon here. They did manage to initiate a cap right now, but TC running away with it at 63%, 29 people on the point over 14 on this side of Velocity. So although they're getting people on the point, they're not able to stand on it for very long, Marlon.
Yeah, some tough fights for Velocity today, but they are still showing up and still trying to make plays. TC with the advantage here clearly, but I don't think we can count Velocity out quite yet. This is not quite an overwhelming one-side dominance like we've seen with some of the other fights today. There are quite a few yellow names still on this platform, and if they just get a little bit of practice, get accustomed to the map a little bit more, then they might be able to start getting some momentum. This is one of those maps that's kind of weird to learn at first. You got to figure out who you can reach. You know, like I said, there's lots of line of sight issues and things like that. You got to figure out how the best to approach the Riftstone. I believe this was Take Care's pick, so they probably have more practice on this map than Velocity. Velocity might have actually been surprised a little bit by this. I don't know if they've scrimmed before, but TC definitely doing a good job holding this position. That doesn't mean that they will necessarily do that the entire time. If Velocity can kind of scout the map a little bit better and understand how to approach, we're seeing them continue to kind of hit this same rock and then go over to the left. I think they are starting to shake it up a little bit though. They're trying to hit from multiple entrances. They might try to play off that grapple again. If they can experiment here and find something that works for them, they still have a chance, but it does feel like Velocity's kind of learning this on the fly.
Yeah, absolutely. They are really struggling here as TC seems to have their number. Zorzor getting a big kill feed on that Cordy spin in the corner over there. And this is a Cordy-rich environment. kind of riftstone. That's why most guilds don't necessarily like to play on it. But if your Cordy spinners are some of the best, or the reason that your guild is very successful, we saw Villainous do a great job on this stone when they fought, I believe it was Hikikomori. Could have been a while, but I'm pretty sure it was Hikikomori. Villainous's Cordy's basically carried them through that fight, and they had a great showing, and it was a great map pick for a Cordy spinner, for a guild who, if you know you're carried by your Cordy spinners, this is a great map for you. Now, I'm not saying that necessarily is what TC has going for them, but their Cordys are definitely no slouch here, Moreland.
No, definitely not. And I mean, TC just has, again, you see these names and they're so recognizable. Players that are known for having eclipse, that are known for being at the top of the overall kill leaderboards, going all the way back to T1. This is a group that really loves the GVG. They'll play the Zerg content and everything else, but they really love the Boonstone Riftstone aspect of the game. It is what they are built for, and you can see it here. They've probably practiced every one of these maps. They know exactly where to be. They know how to react to each one of Velocity's entry points. You can see them moving as a group, and it does look like a Cordy could get a lot of value here in theory, but in practice it's just so hard, Blue, because your whole static has to get up here together. They have to pick one of these entrances to get through without getting stuffed, and then it's not like one static is enough to pull that off. Cordy really is one of those things that scales with the overall power and presence of your guild. So you need the whole guild to get there. You need your static to be in position, and there is just enough space here, I think, that Take Care is using to actually make it pretty difficult for Cordys to do anything. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see those Velocity Spear players out fragging the Cordys by a significant amount in this match.
Yeah, absolutely. As Velocity looks like they're going to try to posture and try to go different way. They take the grapple up on the backside. You see them immediately get shoved off by the front line of Take Care. Take Care doing a great job of controlling that grapple, pushing people off, then controlling these choke points, keeping people clustered in those chokes and pulling them in, only to get them all killed by a Cordy spin or a monster flash wave or whatever that you see, whatever other AoE that you see in the game here. Bathrobe Dave, interesting name. I love that. Ooh, good job pulling 3 members of Take Care off the side. Good job, Bathrobe Dave. Pulling the members of Take Care off the side of the edge. A cheeky little play right there as they try to initiate a camp on this point right now. Velocity definitely behind, but they do manage to get a cap off, and Take Care owns the stone, and they still have 25 people on this stone right now, Moreland.
Yeah, they are doing a decent job of getting in. I think they're, like I said, Velocity, you can see them slowly improving throughout the course of the match. The question is, in the next 8 minutes, are they going to be able to improve enough to really make enough impact here? They are starting to use more of these entrances. We saw in the beginning of the fight, way too many Velocity members trying to go through one choke at the same time, but now we're really starting to see them spread out. If they can communicate in their micros, in their statics, and start to approach this fight from multiple directions, that'll take away Take Care's ability to just look at a choke and stuff it. When you're coming in through only one of these slices of the pizza at a time, it's very easy for TC, as coordinated as they are, to just look at that pizza slice and shut it down. But if you're coming in from 5-6 different directions, then as a shot caller, you can't even really call that. You're going to have to rely on individual players keeping their head on a swivel, looking in every direction and reacting to that. The more chaos and the more angles you can make here, the more of an advantage you can get as Velocity. It just comes down to whether or not they can solidify that strategy with the few remaining minutes they have left.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, absolutely. It does look like that we have Velocity and Take Care going at it right now. I'm telling you, they're fighting their heart out. They are managing to get onto the stone, which is tough to do on Grand Alon, but look how quickly their health bars just vaporize the moment that they step onto the stone right there. But TC honestly starting to get thinned out right now, as that kill feed looked pretty yellow there for a moment, and Rhythm's starting to pick up a lot of kills right now as well. TC on their way back to the stone, but 18 members strong as they save this cap right here for Velocity. They're battling back the other way a little bit.
Yeah, and we're starting to see just how much coordination is required to push this stone. I mean, if you go in as a Spellblade or a Shadow Dancer, your healer better be right on top of you, basically, because as soon as you push, those pillars are going to create line of sight issues. You have to go in kind of arm in arm with your healer here. Otherwise, your health bar is just going to completely disappear. TC knows who to be targeting from Velocity here. Again, these guys are allies. They're familiar with each other's names. Plus, they've probably scrimmed, and they've probably been watching the tournament up to this point. They know exactly who to be focusing. And even though Velocity has some really key DPS players here, if they don't go in with the help of some tanks and healers, there's just no way to really like peak as a staff or a spear and get value here. You have to play with your group.
Yeah, absolutely. TC locking down this point with 6 minutes to go. They certainly look like they're going to be the ones moving on in this tournament. Velocity, a really strong guild in NA East, no question, but I think that they are going to end up coming up short in this lineup. You see Harana over here on the side on this Greatsword Dagger. We looked at him a little bit in the last match that we saw with Take Care. And now again, he's putting on yet another clinic, locking down these targets, just disrupting the regroups on behalf of Velocity. Velocity does initiate once again on another cap. They have 22 members on the cap, but you can see how quickly that is thinned down over there as again, once again, a huge kill feed comes through on the side of Take Care.
Yeah, and I think that's going to continue for the remaining minutes that we have here. I mean, it's you see Velocity make these slight improvements, but then TC is just able to adjust to it every single time. They clearly are they just know how to play with their groups, Blue. They know how to avoid the line of sight issues here. They know how to stay healthy. You can see those key Take Care DPS players, Broomstick, Aishi, Viglin, and the Cordies. You can see all of them. They're trying to get focused by Velocity here. Velocity's trying to go for those kills, but they just know how to stay safe here. They know how to play with that ball. They know how to use line of sight, and you can't take them down.
Yeah, absolutely doing their best right now, but TC looking like an impenetrable wall. And honestly, the biggest thing about TC is that their DPS, every time Velocity steps onto this rift and they get any amount of yellow health bars through here, look how quickly the red health bars go down right there as they just get absolutely blown away. Midas Whale, one of the Cordy spinners that looks like on the side of Velocity, doing what he can. That was Take Care getting blown away. And again, normally it's Take Care blasting down Velocity, but now Velocity had a big surge onto the point right there. But sadly, Purple Chicken uncharacteristically has not been able to interact with the point quite yet on this one. There he goes, and it's too late. Take Care has already regrouped and come back to the point. We'll see if Moshi firing on the left side of your screen over here, trying to fire in on the point to the best of their ability, can hold on. I don't think the yellow health bars can really hold it together though, Marlon.
No, they are trying. Again, you're seeing that incremental improvement here. You're seeing Velocity try something else. You're seeing them take up more space now. We can see on the side, Moshi and Daikon, some of those staff players from Velocity starting to get some value, starting to be able to actually live on the platform long enough to get some kills. If the match was longer, maybe they would be able to slowly get some momentum here. But with 3 minutes left, I just don't know if there's enough happening here.
Yeah, absolutely. Foe over here doing what he can. You see Flux on the outside of the fight here with that spear dagger, looking for an opportunity to try to get in on this one with only 3 minutes left to go. I think the Velocity may have accepted defeat in this particular round, but I wouldn't expect I would expect Purple Chicken or D-Bones to try to run forward at least one more time and try to make something happen. There's the attempted camp right there, but they're just dying too quickly as they try to run through these tiny little choke points onto Grand Alon, and that's what makes, again, this map so difficult to play on with such strong AoE in the current metagame, like Cordy Crossbow and like Spear as well. It's just a really tough situation if you're not the guild controlling the point.
Yeah, very difficult to push when you basically have no option other than a bunch of different choke points. Some of those choke points having some other hazards as well. You got the grapple that you got to deal with being kind of stunned as you land. You got the rock that you can kind of get stuck on as you climb it. And there's just very limited entry points into this. You have to basically open yourself up to some kind of AoE choke point attack, and when everyone is playing a spear or a spellblade or a Cordy, then going through any of these choke points is just not going to be a whole lot of fun, especially as a squishy. There's not a lot you can do even as a dagger class to stealth in or anything like that. You're still just going to get hit by those AoEs coming through these narrow passageways.
Yeah, absolutely. Doing their best with what they have is Velocity right now. Under 2 minutes left to go in this match. It just looks like they are struggling to get towards the point. We might be bad at warping. At least we're not bald. Velocity. Okay, buddy. Yo, chill out. There is nothing wrong with being bald. I don't want to hear it, Moreland. You tell him.
I guarantee you that at least a couple of these guys are bald. I mean, what are the odds that none of the 48 members are bald? I don't believe it.
I mean, genetically speaking, it is likely that almost none of them are bald. Unless they're older, in which case there's serious baldage going on in the guild. Look at it, he's still spamming it as he runs in. Lucy is a nerd. Look at that. Oh my god, the disrespect coming out for Lucy right there. That's one of the tournament directors, if you guys don't know. Quay over here doing what he can on this healer to try to not die at all anymore, because he's trying to pad his stats on the side of TC. 1 minute left to go in this lobby. It does look like the Take Care will have a pretty good day today as they run through the losers bracket. They said second or third for this tournament. They're gonna have to win the losers bracket of this tournament if they want to come up with that win. 40 seconds on the clock. Man, not as close as we thought it was going to be, Moreland.
Not as close as we thought it was going to be. I do wonder how this would have played out on a different map, perhaps something that was a little bit more open, where Velocity had a bit more practice. TC now in these final moments, though, pushing out and kind of going for the ego push open field fight and still showing quite a bit of dominance. So I think these guys are doubling down. They are ready to get serious. They want to just run through the losers bracket so they can get their rematch against Helloing, so they can fight these other Ivory guilds. Again, these guys, they want to go top 3. They might not expect to win the whole thing, but they do want top 3. And so we're seeing the beginning of that possibly start to brew here.
Yep, absolutely. Take Care dominating this leaderboard here as they take away the final match of the day here. Spear Dagger, top 3 right there. Sample, Ashy B, V Glenn, Zoxor the first one, the Cordy Crossbow at number 4, and then the Staff Dagger Spellblade start to come in. Holy Blonde Markelov right there. Let's take a look at the top ones for Velocity here. Give them some credit where credit's due. Rosferic, Rhythm, and Rightao, Azo doing their best to try to keep up with it. The top assists, obviously, Sample, very TC heavy. Damage dealt Moshi on the Spellblade for Velocity, coming out on top of that one. Rhythm doing a great job as well in the middle of the front page there in what was a very one-sided fight overall. To be on the front page is extremely impressive, so good fights to him as well. What a gamer. Sample, V, Glenn, NA, and Ashy B, the top damage dealt for Take Care right there. Damage taken looks like Autumn, Foe, Gar, and Caravan, the top damage taken of the lobby. If we look over at Take Care, it's Fuji Cakes and Hiatus Fuji Cakes, an absolute gamer coming in on that tank right there. 21.3 million damage healed for Nocturnal, Wuru, and Sea Turtle right there with Bun and Weeks rounding out the top 5. If we look at the top Velocity, it's Joshi, Viola, and Cassia with Preezy and Chinny coming down here, rounding out the top 5 for Velocity. A good fight, but definitely Take Care on top again.
Yeah, congratulations to Take Care. Velocity with some really tough matches today, but they had an excellent showing. Crazy the performance that some of those Velocity DPS players have, despite how tough of a map that was. We saw some crazy stat lines at the end there. Blue, keep a mental note of those healing amounts that we saw, not just in this match, but in the other matches tonight and throughout the tournament, because that change is coming tonight in the maintenance, and we're going to have to compare that to the healing numbers that we see starting tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't wait to see that. You know that they're changing that based on the tournament, so that's amazing. I want to give a big shout out to AGS. If we get some WAGSs in chat for supporting the tournament, doing a great job putting up that 1.3 million Lucent prize pool. Otherwise, the tournament worldwide would not be happening, mainly because I don't have the money to front that kind of a prize pool, guys. I'm not Mr. Moneybags over here, but I will certainly put forth all the effort to put the tournament on. Again, I'm not being paid. I'm not being sponsored necessarily. They're just supporting the prize pool. They're putting forth the unique drops that we're getting every week as well. We're all going to be getting a unique title in game for just watching the tournament on Twitch, which is really cool. Squadron Commander is quite a cool title, if I do say so myself. So again, yeah, WAGS there. Really appreciate them supporting the tournament there. And if we could get some highs for our tournament directors in the chat, doing a great job of moving the broadcast along smoothly today. Certainly, we had some tough problems today trying to wrestle with some of the guilds today, but you know what? The tournament directors did a great job of smoothly handling everything and trying to handle everything with as much grace as possible. Sure, we had a situation there, but I could say, again, we try to handle it with as much grace as possible. But people are going to want to know why a match is 30 versus 48. You know, that people are going to want that explanation. That's why I put it on the screen so everybody could see for themselves what actually happened there. And we'll see what we have to do about that particular situation, that unfortunate situation moving forward here. I want to give a big shout out to my boy Morlin over here as well, who is just the consistent goat of shoutcasting, my rock, my guy, my go-to guy shoutcasting in the tournament. Morlin, where can they find you?
I'm pretty much everywhere. Well, mostly Twitch and YouTube these days as Moreland TV. But yeah, you can find me streaming. You can find me uploading from time to time. So come say hi. These NA East matches are a lot of fun, man. They're only going to get more fun. So thanks for having me. I really like watching these. And given my little anecdotes and backstory, I know some people will disagree with the lore that I'm giving. But honestly, I think that just makes it even more fun.
That is what it is. What are you going to do? At the end of the day, it is just a tournament for fun. We are just trying to see who the strongest guild in each region is. Nobody needs to get too bent out of shape about the whole ordeal. At the end of the day, let's take a look at who we're going to raid today. I think that Vert finished up. I was going to raid him, but he always finishes his stream before I can actually try to raid him on this one. I don't know if I see Invuln. Invuln, I think, is finished going live as well. So it looks like it's going to be Little Fatty GG on this one. So I'm going to go ahead and throw you guys over to Little Fatty, who is one of the co-casters for the NA West tournament. Guys, we're going to be back tomorrow with NA West at 8 p.m. Central Standard. I think they start at 8 p.m. I'm losing it. I'm literally losing my mind. It's Thursday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. I will be live before then. We're going to do a 2-day stream. Guys, there's a special surprise for you. The first stream tomorrow is going to be a super banger. You are not going to want to miss it. The YouTube video one of the first YouTube videos will also be released tomorrow on the channel as well. If you missed any of this action for Throne and Liberty here, you can be sure to see it on my YouTube channel there. So make sure you subscribe to that the day after the match goes live. I'm going to throw it over to Little Fatty. Guys, have a great rest of your night. Bye-bye now.